If the roar of the crowd gives you goosebumps, catching a slip makes you grin, and above all, you love making your bookie cry, then you're in the right place. The #1 spot for premier betting advice and wild opinions, shared with a fan base like no other. Welcome home. This is the Punch List MMA Podcast.
Oh, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, it's tradition at this point, but here we are. We are 3 days past UFC 288, and we've got something different. Normally, it's myself, and we bring in the gold standard of MMA interviews and guys in Drew Dober, but also we've got Patrick from Addicted to Combat as well. So we're teaming up. Everybody's here.
I'm third wheeling. I like this.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I think the more the merrier. Let's have everyone on.
Absolutely, dude. Let's get them all. I'll send the link out to everybody. Everybody can get in here. So let's just. I didn't get the tank top memo though. If I'm being honest, nobody. I don't know if you guys talked about this beforehand, but I did not.
We did. We're like traps out, you know.
I mean, the sun's finally out. We can barely wear clothes now, so it's happening.
All right. Well,
sky's out, thighs out. I got my chubbies on too under my desk.
I mean, I'm not even wearing pants. So.
Well, that's standard. That's standard podcast.
The dress code.
So I can appreciate that. All right, man. So let's talk about this. UFC 288 took place this last weekend. We obviously know how things shook out.
I got steamrolled on Saturday.
And here we go. Dude, I saw you before the fight. Everything looked good. You were moving good in the cage. There were shades of the Brad Riddell fight where it looked like you got a little angry and you wanted to get back every time he was touching you. But what were you seeing in there? What was, kind of walk me through the process here.
Honestly, I felt confident in there, man. I felt like everything we game planned, everything we thought of. I mean, he was wild. I was able to see all his strikes. I was even thinking to myself in the cage, like I could fight like this for 15 minutes. Like we're good. And then, I found his body, hit him with a liver shot, and I felt him wince. And I was like, oh, his body's hurt. We're going to keep going to that. And, man, it's boxing 101. If you're going to throw to the body, you either set it up or you come back up to the head or you bring your hands back to your face. Either way, man, I broke those rules and paid for it. So I hit him in the body, didn't bring my hands back, but and then he countered, and I don't know if you've known Matt Frevola, but he hits hard. So I made one mistake and ended up on my back.
Yeah. I mean, we knew he was going to hit hard, and we know he's a bigger guy too, right? I mean, he balloons back up. He's mid 180s, almost 190 come fight night. He loves to post stuff with his weights and stuff like that. You came into this looking leaner than I think I've seen you look before. And you were moving really well. I'll send you the video. I'm yelling, he doesn't like the body shot. He doesn't like the body shot. And then, you were hunting for it. So let's talk about it. So he tapped you. He booped you. You fell down. There was a bit of a scramble, and then Herb jumped in. Now, you seemed on my end to be pretty with it. What was your initial reaction during that heated scramble?
Yeah, it's the best described with, I was going to that body. I was getting ready to throw to that body, right? I go for it, and then I end up on my back. Yeah. And I was like, oh, how'd I end up here? And so then I wanted to salvage the situation and protect myself. But there was a time lapse, and I don't know how long there was. But to me, I felt like Herb stepped in practically immediately. And so that was my confusion when he stopped the fight. I was like, man, that just happened. What are you doing? But then watching the film, and man, there was some punches on the ground that I wasn't aware of. So I won't say it's an early stoppage, but the stoppage did surprise me.
I got you. You got anything, Pat?
Yeah, it's just I wanted to know your opinion, Drew, on basically the modern era of MMA reffing. There is back in the day. I mean, go back 10, 15 years, and some of these would be extended, and you'd see how a fight could change. A round-to-win exchange like that could be. Think about the classic example, Pat Barry and Chet Congo back in 2011. That fight could have been stopped. Herb Dean probably would have stopped it at any number of points in that fight, but we got a whole different result as a result of that. So, you seem pretty okay. I mean, you seem like a pretty chill guy. You're cool with the stoppage, but what do you think about that? Are you more on the side of fighter safety, or do you think we should see, these guys kind of go out a little bit further before we call it quits?
I mean, for me personally, I prefer too late than too early,
Right.
just because I mean we're professionals fighting at the largest stage in the world. We both signed the contract and we know what we're getting ourselves into. And like I said, we're in the UFC. Like this is what we came here for. Amateurs, regional pros, stop a little early, but on the UFC level, I mean, let us fight till our heart's content. But I think all sports have kind of been pulling away from that violent side. So like, football, excessive tackling, and MMA, even in boxing, people are stepping in, they're standing 8 counts. So I think people are just being a little bit more concerned with concussions. But yeah, I like to see people fight until they can't any longer.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it's also one of those things too, where referees should probably be a little bit more cognizant or do their homework a little bit better as to who the fighters are engaging in this, right? I think of the Frevola thing, and then I also think of your fight with Terrence McKinney. And I think if you apply that same standard to the Terrence McKinney fight, Herb jumps in the first 13 seconds of that fight. I mean, you got to allow, you guys and girls to work a little bit more. Some obviously more than others, but I mean, as a guy who's known for his durability, yeah, you were on the bad end of some shots there, but come on, man, let the man work a little bit.
Yeah.
If you're aware enough to look up at him and go, "What are you doing?" the moment it happens, and then hop back up. Now, granted, you had the sea legs, but you hopped right back up. I mean, it wasn't like we see some fighters get up and they fall on their face and stuff. I mean, you could physically stand back up, and you asked him while making eye contact, "What are you doing?" I don't know, man. I'm salty as well because you're my friend. So
Yeah, it was earlier than like I would have expected.
Sure.
But too early, I don't think so. I think I agree with Herb.
You should have been one of those guys that wrestles the ref. They have to pull the guy off of him. You ever see that?
I like that.
You snap in all your wrestling training you probably prepared for Frevola.
That would make his call more relative. Look at Drew just started fighting Herb all of a sudden.
Have you ever gone back and watched Herb's fights? Have you ever seen his stuff?
Yeah. I mean, he's got some pretty cool calls.
Yeah.
Some pretty not so cool calls. Yeah. Man, it's just the line of anyone's work. Like, right. We all mess up. Some of us get steamrolled. It's like we make mistakes every once in a while.
No, I'm saying like his actual MMA fights. Have you seen Herb's like actual fights?
Oh no, I haven't actually.
Oh, I got you.
All right.
I'll hook you up with some links. So I will say this. Maybe because I'm paying more attention to it because I was emotionally invested in this one. Felt like there's a little bit of heat, like a little bit of hater came out in people this time. I mean, you weren't talking a whole bunch of trash this time. Have you noticed a little bit more of a chippiness in the MMA fan base after this fight?
Yes and no. I mean, Kevin Hart. It was Kevin Hart and Cat Williams that said it's like, the more popular you get, the more haters you're gonna have. And man, I just love that people are chirping a little bit more because that just means there's more, heat around my name.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm the Crimson Chin. I can't get knocked out. This and that. And yeah, unfortunately, we all can, and showcased it. So yeah, people are going to take this opportunity to run their mouths. So let them. Yeah,
there was quite a bit of that. Well, let me ask you this: your wife didn't make the trip with you. You go back. What was her thoughts? She just want to make sure you're okay. How did that shake out?
Yeah, I think we're all disappointed. I think really the disappointing part was like the half a paycheck. We didn't get the win bonus. So that was the unfortunate part. But man, we all lose. Like, right. I don't know. I don't think we even talked about it. I was more banged up after my wins than I did this loss.
Right.
Like, I was hurting so bad after the Bobby Green fight, after the Terrence McKinney fight, after the Rafael Alves fight. This fight, like, I came home like, I have a black eye. That's it.
Yeah, it's not bad. That's not bad. What you got, Pat? Oh, what you got?
Yeah, no more injuries. That was it. Just a little bit of lacerations in the face.
No,
you're good to go back to training.
Yeah, to the continuation about the late stoppage or early stoppage. One thing that I guess people aren't aware of, and clear the air. I don't think there was going to be a second round. even if I was able to survive or if herb. So I had to get 15 stitches in my eyebrow. I don't know if y'all can see it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So it was a head kick that like I pulled and like his big toe or something it landed and split me wide open.
Right.
Maybe that's what Herb Dean saw. But I mean, it was so deep and like the gash was huge. I think this doctors might have stopped that fight, going into the second round. So with that being said, that's the only injury I have. But that's also why I'm not really worried about the stoppage at all. Because I'm like, yeah, I don't think we would have had a second round regardless.
Right. Have you had that split open before like that?
No, this is the other side. So okay. Matt Frevola made me symmetrical. So now I got scars on both sides now.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah. I split this eyebrow the whole length of it. Well, you can see it. I've got like the scar that runs it because I hit mine on a table, though. It wasn't because I was punched. I hit it on a table when I was a wee lad, and then it was split open in a fight many moons ago, which really laid it all open. So it's good, man. It'll be fun next time.
Yeah.
Somebody you'll sneeze too hard and it'll open back up again.
So now I got that Nate Diaz leather face going on right now. So,
dude, did you watch that press conference today?
Oh my God.
Or any of it?
Outrageous.
I saw the comment. I saw the reporter's comment about fighting his brother or something.
Oh yeah, man! What a weirdo! Like
that's crazy.
Just trying to pick a fight with Nick like over a media day. I don't know. That's outrageous, but obviously we're talking about it, so it's doing its purpose.
I guess so.
Yeah, exactly.
How would you? I mean, I know you're chill, so you probably wouldn't react angrily. But has anybody ever said anything like really wild to you in an interview or anything like that?
I wouldn't say like live interview, but I do get like trolls on the internet like eager to fight me and prove themselves to me and stuff like that. So I don't know, man, the internet's full of the circus acts. I haven't really came across it in person though.
Yeah. Pat, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you now. So I got to meet Drew in person at 288 and
I saw the picture of those though.
Yeah, shook the man's hand. I can't confirm his hand is 100% knuckle. There's no other part of his hand. It's all knuckle. So it was like grabbing like a hold of like a piece of weathered cedar wood, man. The guy's
just a hoof.
Just a oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy. No,
what's Dober, what's next? I know you got the I heard Dale mention you have a kid that's coming on the way soon, but next time you get in the cage, how's the matchmaking process been like for you? You've mentioned in the past, I've seen interviews, you said it's kind of tough to find opponents. How does this setback sort of change that?
Yeah, it opened up. Now more people are available. Yeah, like the options are limitless now. I mean, probably, we could try to get another top 15 that Renato Milcano, when he, gets back into it. We can do a short notice replacement if any Dan Hooker or Turner get injured. There's options in the 15, but now like just right below 15, like, man, there's like Michael Johnson, Mark Diakisi, Joel Alvarez, man, like the list goes on and on and on and on. So now we got options. And so now it's not about the who, it's the when, because we have no idea what my daughter's going to be like and how I'm going to train through that. But we're going to find ways.
Can I be an internet dad for a second? So, because I try to dad everybody that listens to the show anyway, so I'm just going to dad a little bit longer here.
I'm ready.
I didn't get a lot of time off after my kids because I don't have a job that affords me a lot of time off. So, 2, 3, 4 weeks, if that. Those beginning weeks and months are not only ones that you never get back, but they're ones where the kids are never the same like that ever again. So like 2 to 3 is very similar, right? But like 1 week to 6 months, nothing is ever like that again. Like it's so different from time to time. So as much as selfishly, I would love to see you capture that lightweight all-time knockout record, which will one day be yours. And we both know that. As much as I want to see you do that, bro, don't discount just taking the summer and hanging out and enjoying her and your wife and just chilling for a little bit. So I know you want to get back in there. I understand how this whole thing works, but let me dad you for a second. Just enjoy it, bro.
I think we got like this good idea of like how that's going to work.
Okay.
I have a nasty habit of doing too much in the gym, anyways. And so like in comparison, the pandemic, like the gyms were closed, you couldn't leave your house, but I still had a fight to train for. So we changed the too much to like what was enough training for that day. And man, we're only training for like an hour and a half. Any more than that is just excessive. So man, I feel like we got a good system of like, I pick an hour and a half, in that particular day.
Sure.
We go get that work done real quick, come back, and then I have like 22 and a half hours left with my baby. So
fair enough.
now I'm going to need some help with my wife, and we got to figure out the juggling act before she goes back to work.
Right.
But when it comes to the idea of maybe fighting in like a July, August or something, like we can make it work.
Okay.
As long as I don't get like Patty Pimblett fat in the off season.
No, I don't think you will.
That's a good fight right there. I'd love to see that.
I mean, my dad bod's loading right now. You'd be impressed.
Well, so what I thought was interesting is you've been saying we'll talk about him for a little bit. We're not going to give him a lot of shine. You've been calling out Patty, saying he's protected. We've been talking about how what that fight would look like and how it would shake out. We've been talking about that for almost the better part of a year now. It seems like, and he refuses to say your name out loud. And then Frevola beats you. Frevola calls him out, and Patty responds and says, "Yeah, we can make that work as soon as I can start training again." What's your assessment of that? How the hell does that make any sense?
I mean, I think it goes without being said. There's somebody that Patty did not want to fight. So, yeah, I don't know. At this point right now, me saying Patty Pimblett on like a public forum is just a joke at this point.
Yeah,
because it's like, man, I'm still waiting for him to call me back.
Right.
But yeah, it was just more like just a joke. It's like, all right, well, now since I lost, am I more enticing?
Right. Well, let me ask you this. So go back to the fight for a split second. One thing I noticed that you were doing an excellent job of drawing out that right hand of Matt. Was that sort of part of the game plan, was to get him swinging wild like that and then slowly start wearing him down? Because you had mentioned the body work. You were definitely you were throwing a lot more feints than you normally do. You were very much in and out light. Were you just trying to get him to overwork himself? What was that game plan like?
Yeah, the game plan was he was going to bring in that chaos. He was going to be wild and unpredictable. So I wanted to basically pull out, like let him play his cards. I was going to be the more refined and more polished striker, and I was going to be able to counter or implement my plan. And I thought we were working it pretty well. So like on the positive side, we were able to feint, draw it out, see what he was doing. If you go back in the fight, like I was able to pull and move away from a lot of big strikes and see just fine. Now the con was obviously not bringing my hands up to my face after that body shot, but I think the biggest one was the lack of volume. Yeah. I think the way I was fighting Bobby Green was there was a lot of action, right? I mean, I was getting peppered a little bit, but like there was a lot of action. But when I told myself in this fight that I was going to be more polished and patient, it really just made my striking a little bit more stagnant, right? Like I wasn't really throwing as much, to where we can throw without the intention of like causing tremendous damage. Sure. Like a couple leg kicks, a body kick. I can throw a spinning move that will miss completely, like just more volume. So I think the patience unfortunately led into inactivity, which allowed Frevola to look a little bit more superior. So it's just, something that we're going to have to, make improvements on.
I got you. Yeah, I noticed you did a great job drawing out those feints. I mean, he looked like he was throwing, fastballs like first pitch of a baseball game, the way he was loading that right hand up. And I was like, oh, he's just drawing that out at time and time again.
I mean, that's why I felt so comfortable in there. I was like, man, I could see everything, and like we're good, and like all that stuff. Like, I mean, I was even like pat myself on the back, like, oh man, we got this back. We're like, we got this and stuff.
Right.
And then then I was on my back.
Is that durability of yours, and since it's been so long since you've ever been stopped in your career, it's only been like one other time, right? Is that something that you kind of know in the back of your head, like you can march through a storm and just to cut somebody off on the cage and get to them? Like you can rely on absorbing a couple of shots. Is that something that is in the back of your mind, or no?
Yeah, I think it's in the back of my mind that like I'm confident that I'm able to survive some firefights. But I don't think like I never go into the fight with the objective that I'm gonna,
Right.
you know,
Of course.
take a punch and then give it to him. But I am better in the pocket. Like I fight it better in the pocket, so I got to stay in the pocket. So unfortunately, you got to take a little bit of damage to stay in that pocket, so you can cause your damage. And so that's kind of like my plan is like, all right, I need to get into that pocket and stay in for as long as I possibly can. You know, and Frevola is just he's a power puncher, and I think his wild unorthodox strikes caught me by surprise too. You know, it's like it's really hard to see the punches that like you don't see in the gym. You know,
Right.
Yeah,
I like the Michael Johnson call. That was good.
Yeah,
like
you're striking in the pocket is a thing of beauty, man. You almost look like a more refined. There's one of your fights from a while ago. I can't remember if it was Jason Gonzalez. We're going back a few years where it looked like that Chuck Liddell fight against Tito on the cage, where he just hammered him with combinations and the guy eventually crumples. It was an amazing one. So yeah, the close range strikes is it was a real treat to see you with Frevola while it lasted. And were you surprised that he didn't go for more of a wrestling game plan? Like a lot of people thought that would be the easiest path. Were you waiting for this shot?
I was aware of the shot. Like, we wanted to make sure that, you know, he wasn't blowing the smoke in the interviews just so that we can draw my attention away from the wrestling.
Right.
Like, we wanted to keep in mind that, you know, Frevola also grinds out wins via wrestling and jiu-jitsu as well. So we had that in the back of my mind. And, you know, unfortunately, we weren't able to showcase my superior takedown defense.
Are you training with
yeah.
guys like Archie Colgan? Is that a guy that's part of your team?
Oh yeah. Him and I have worked pretty much the most in the last camp with Frevola. Archie and I were kind of had fights back to back together. So yeah, we trained a lot together.
I can dig it. I like the call outs, man. You know, you and I talked about the Joel Alvarez fight before, but Michael Johnson was not something on my radar.
Michael Johnson. I mean, what about the Drakkar Close?
Oh yeah, Drakkar Close. Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah, at this point right now, to me, it's like I don't care anymore. Like,
right.
I don't have to worry about the rankings anymore. I'm out of them. So now we can like work our way back in, and so we can drop the political game and just figure out the when. Like, let's figure out when I can get in there, and we can make that happen.
I like it. So, what's the game plan? I mean, now till that. I mean, we're just waiting for the baby to come, right? We're just hanging out and just chilling. Are we still? We going to the gym every day, or what are we doing?
So I went to the gym today. So we want to kind of just monitor. I got dropped. I got punched really hard.
Yeah.
So we got to monitor a mild concussion. So I'm taking kind of like the concussion protocol of like the certain supplements. I'm going up to the gym, doing some cardio, and just monitoring how I feel. I probably won't do any martial arts training until next week. And then if that works perfectly fine, then like the week after I'll start making contact again, not sparring, but just drills. Right. And so we probably won't spar until maybe June. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, so that's the path of getting back into the gym. Now it's, yeah, we got dropped. We got finished. Hasn't happened since 2011. So, man, insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
Sure.
Right. So
yeah,
we gotta. So Daddy Dober might be a wrestler. You know, like I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, man. I have been wrestling up at the Colorado School of Mines. I know how to grapple. I just don't love it.
right.
You know, like, but I used to grapple back in my earlier fights, and so we might bring that back, and we might change it up. You know, freak people out. See my opponents act surprised.
Bro, let's see if we can get you like a Venom singlet to come out in, bro. Just come out. No,
Nobody wants to see me in spandex.
Yeah. Here we go. Speaking of supplements, ask Drew what are his must-take USADA legal supplements for health and performance.
You might have to take a multivitamin. I do my athletic greens, which is that green powder.
Yeah.
I'll take a USADA approved pre-workout just to wake me up before I get punched in the mouth. But yeah, when it comes to supplements, I'm not a big supplement person. For like a concussion or like injury recovery, I'll take the fish oil and you know, like various other like herbal stuff that will like, you know, help with inflammation and that kind of stuff. Thorn gives me a lot of good stuff. But yeah, when it comes to like consistent supplements every single day of my life, multivitamin, pre-workout, that's it.
I mean, we should probably be asking Pat about supplements. You can't tell because he's sitting down, but Pat's like 6'7" and 320 pounds.
No.
Dude,
those are inflated.
No, it's not, dude. How tall are you?
6 foot.
You're not 6 foot tall. Are you really?
6 foot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Big boy.
But 275.
275. Okay, but what's your bench press?
430.
And
yeah, so 2 of me.
Right, and your squat?
That was 645.
And your deadlift?
705.
Boom.
Good God. Yeah, well, that's
what I do.
That's a supplement routine right there.
I fight the weights. I fight the barbells. That's what I do.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So Pat, what kind of supplement? No,
that Alistair Overeem horse meat. That's what you need.
That's all you need.
We call that gear in the industry.
No, never. It's all on the up and up here. All right. So we've got baby on the way. What does the let me ask you this, after a fight like that, where obviously there's a little bit of damage that's given out, what's the medical assessment process like? How do they determine, because we always see these articles come out, so-and-so 60 days, no contact, medical suspension, this, that, and the other. Is that something that's decided there or further down the line? Do you go see a specialist? How does that work?
Yeah, it's decided there. I mean, immediately as soon as you get out of the cage,
right,
like you're immediately in that like medical room, and they figure they stitched me up like immediately, and then they go over like your jaw, your orbital, like your hands, your feet, like they give you a full physical.
Right.
And then from that moment, then the commission, I think it's the commission, then just gives you a suspension. So I got a 45-day suspension. I feel like they just figure it out, that like they just by looking at you and looking at everything, they go, yeah, you're gonna need this much time off. So yeah, I think that's kind of how it's done. And man, that medical thing takes a lot longer than I like. But
do you still do the press conference even after that?
Nah, see, I don't get to talk to the journalists. I don't get to take the pictures. Yeah, it's only the winners only.
Oh man, did you still get to do the after party thing?
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Okay.
My big thing is I won't let a human or circumstance dictate my happiness. Right. So after we got stitched up, took a shower, I put my post-fight outfit on. We threw that smile in. I was high-fiving and dancing with people. Like, we have fun regardless.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway, and I'll peel back the curtain a little bit, Pat, is went out to the Fighter Hotel and hung out with Drew in the lobby for probably about an hour or so. This was at like 4:00 in the afternoon, maybe. And you got into a fight at 9, and it was like, dude, 4 hours. He's just like, yeah, I'm just chilling, man, hanging out. I'm going to take a nap and just, hang out. All smiles like this. You think
that's wild,
right? Exactly. So you think, yeah, maybe you're like that a little bit, but you are about to get into a fight in front of 15,000 people. You're going to get like on edge a little bit. Not the case. Like this the whole time.
Is that something that's changed over your career? Like now that you're in over 40 fights or something like that, close to it. Is that something that's changed? Were you kind of more, or it's always been the same personality ever since the beginning?
So it did change, but not like in the way that you're asking. I've always been like this. I remember way back when, I was just out of high school. So maybe amateur, just turned pro, whatever. And I had a fight that day, and I was hanging out at the mall with my friend. And he goes, "But you got a fight today?" I'm like, "I do." He goes, "Why are we at the mall? What are you doing?" I was like, "It's just a day. It's just Saturday. I only have to work for 15 minutes. If you only had to work for 15 minutes, you wouldn't think about it all day either. That's it. We just show up, get my hands taped, we throw down, but the rest of my day doesn't need to be like that." And that's how I like it. Before the UFC, I would sit in the audience. I was a spectator until it was time for me to get my hands taped.
Oh,
yeah, I love it's just Saturday. I'm enjoying myself, enjoying my time. Now, when it changed though, around the time I got signed by the UFC, I told myself that this has to be work. This is a job. This is important. We got to make things happen. And it was I gained this seriousness. And it just didn't translate well. I wasn't having fun and being fluid and my fights were most of them were decisions because I was just so I don't know, rigid. And we had to talk to a mental coach about, what we need to do to improve. And we just brought back 19-year-old Drew Dober, which was I was just getting into a fight today and having fun with it. And then I got my knockout streak going.
I don't know if that's scarier. I'm going to be honest with you. To just be
I know
like,
I'm full on like the Joker of MMA. I always say fighters are all mentally unstable. Mine is the fact that I enjoy giving other people concussions so much, and more so like not even my enemies. Like throwing hands with my friends is probably my favorite pastime.
that's weird. That's weird for me to sort of process the idea of you having an enemy. You seem very chill, and it doesn't seem like you hold a lot of negativity. So, I mean, I'm not going to ask you to name an enemy, but I mean, is that like that's a real thing that exists for you? Like you got folks that you feel that way about? Because you don't.
So I don't think I have enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have enemies. I don't think there's one guy, the one guy in my career, and we were both undefeated amateurs. His name's Jimmy Seipel. And man, he was just running his mouth. He would win a fight and he'd be like, Drew, like full on Conor McGregor, like in an amateur fight, like Drew Dober, I want to beat you up, this and that, man. And then I'd get text messages like, "Oh, did you see that guy calling you out?" I was like, "We're amateurs, like settle down." And man, he was like, but he was like good at it. I remember when I went to one of his fights, and during the fight, he like pinned this dude up against the fence, looked over his opponent's shoulder, and like winked at me. And I'm like, damn, like he's good. And so finally, it was just like, yeah, let's just fight then.
Right.
And we did like this full on like production of like bad blood. We hate each other, and it came down to like the reason we didn't like each other was because he was like God's soldier and walked out to drowning pool bodies and like wore his like heavy chains, like very hood status, you know?
Okay.
And like I was just like this, you know, goofy little white boy running around, right? And so like we just didn't mesh well. And so when we fought, we hated each other when we fought. And it was horrible. Like I don't know, the fight just wasn't fun, and it was just like it didn't I don't know. So that was the last time I wanted to fight angry. And we ended up fighting twice.
Have you talked to him since then?
Yeah, I do. He shoots me messages every once in a while.
Oh man! So if we just did like a surprise, like boom, bring Seipel on the show, like you'd be like, "Oh, what's up, man?" Like he wouldn't be like, "I hate you, Drew Dober." Like he wouldn't be like that.
Oh yeah, we moved on, but I also had to beat him twice in the cage. So
I got you. All right, let's get you. We got a couple more questions in the chat here, and we'll let you run. What's the post-fight meal?
Post-fight meal that was like, man. An excessive amount of pizza at 3 a.m. Like it was grotesque. But ideally, what I like is I like a good steakhouse, like a big slab of ribeye. So typically, post-fight meal was steakhouse. This time around, 3 a.m. pizza.
Drunk pizza, maybe.
A lot. Yeah.
All right.
Not wrong.
Does judging and trying to find a way to hold commissions and judges more accountable ever come up in fighter meetings, or is that something there's no point for fighters to even bring up?
I wouldn't say there was official meetings. Fighters do talk about it, that there needs to be more training, or at least an MMA background if you want to be a part of that, you know, commission. But yeah, it's hard because the athletic commission, like they do whatever they want. So it's like they don't communicate with the fighters either. So,
right. Let's see here. Our man, Robot Chicken Wing says Drew Dober's a gangster. Can confirm. Can confirm. And then Dirty Reg says he loves the quote, "Let a human or circumstance dictate your happiness." So,
do not let a human or a circumstance dictate your happiness. The little abbreviation is too, I'll never let another man break my smile.
Oh, geez.
I would be happier than a motherfucker, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, man. First F-bomb from Drew ever on the show. 15 appearances. Finally dropped one.
I do my best to not cuss on public forums, but
you did great, man. Finally broke it. All right. So Shady's asking about weight, but we talked about weight a long time ago that we weren't going to talk about weight anymore because it's too cliche. You want to talk about weight? Oh, you want to talk about weight? All right, man.
Yeah.
So he wants to know how much weight you cut on Friday and Saturday or during camp.
So obviously it was there's the typical, and then there's what as of recent. As of recent, we've fixed this weight cut problem. So I've been showing up fight week at 170, so it's just 15 pounds, and then I'll gradually lose like a couple pounds each day. So you know, starting at like 170, and then like 68, 65. 63, and then the last plunge will be like a larger, like try to do a 7 pound cut. So yeah, we just try to gradually bring that weight down. So I usually start the the aggressive cutting at 165, and we lose about 10 pounds that way.
Nice. Oh, we got two that are pretty similar, so we'll just kind of combine these together. So Austin wants to know, getting punched in the face, not your goal in fights, but you still confident in your chin's durability after the wars you've been in over the years. And Nichols says, are you at all concerned with the damage your chin that your chin did to Matt Frevola's hand?
That's
I mean, I hope Frevola's hand's doing all right.
Yeah.
But no, the chin is built upon your extracurricular activities. So whether it is damaged or heightened, it's not due to the 15 minutes of being in the cage. It's about the every moment outside of that cage. So it's how you train. I don't spar like an idiot. We train very intelligently.
Right.
Right now, I'm going through my concussion protocol. Like, I'm not adding a concussion on top of another concussion. So we're clearing the cobwebs right now. And then 3, like drugs, like excessive drinking, partying, like, and I'm talking about like cocaine, meth, and like the brutal kind, right? Like, I feel like that kills your chin too. And we also avoid that. When I party, it's just marijuana and alcohol, and it still have a bad time as well. Yeah. So I mean,
what's your booze of choice? What's the post?
My booze? Man, I do wine. I'm a heavy wine drinker. So yeah, I'm the douchebag that orders wine at sports bars. It's just the life I live.
That's okay, man. That's okay. You actually, I mean, you converted me over to wine. So, so Drew gave me a recommendation of wine, Patrick. Believe it or not, it's not in my price point. I know that's wild.
Oh, Prisoner?
Yeah, dude, that stuff's expensive, bro.
But you got to shop around. You you can get some pretty cool sales at man, where are you at? The Kroger stores.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to look around because that's just not my. It's called Prisoner. Yeah, they got a line of a couples, but or a couple different kinds. But Drew recommended the red blend, which I got. I think it was it's almost like $50 a bottle, man. $52 a bottle. That means
no, I'm not. That's not a casual thing for me. That's like we're gonna have fun this weekend. Here's a bottle of Prisoner, Yeah. But my typical go-tos are like 19 Crimes, Menage a Trois. A lot of red blends. I'm a loser.
No, well, so the 19 Crime stuff's a little sweet. It's real
sweet.
Yeah. All right, we're not going to talk about wine anymore because we're going to get way off topic here. Let's see here. One more I want to ask you real quick. This was a good one. Adam says, how does fighter autographs and memorabilia work out? I actually got a Dober autograph card the other day.
Oh, like how do you receive the already autographed card? Like Topps sent me like a package deal where like I just signed like 500 signatures. But as far as like what can you do to get a signature by Drew Dober, if you just want to send like a memorabilia or something with like a note to Easton's Denver, send it to them. They make sure I get it and I can sign it, and then I'll just send it right back to you.
That's awesome. Yeah, self-addressed stamped envelope, right? You're not going to the post office and buying stamps for folks, right?
Yeah, if you can, please send me a return label. Or
It would mean so much more though if you got the stamp for them.
Right? Well, I mean, I'd be lying if I said like it's happened. But like, yeah, can you go ahead and like send that back? And I'm like, I don't. I'm not really proficient at this post office thing. That's my wife's job. She returns all our items. I don't do that.
Speaking of which, I gotta get you guys some more. I gotta get you some more shirts. We'll have to get like a punchless baby onesie.
Yes, and I will post that for sure.
Okay, all right.
Give me like a newborn punchless MMA, and yeah.
Okay, I got you. We'll iron it out after this. We'll get your colors down or whatever it is that you want to do. We'll go from there. So, all right, man. We'll let you run as always, dude. I kid you not. I'm just going to dote on you for a split second. All right. We're going to get real corny for a split second. You always hear the old adages about not meeting people that you admire, people, that from afar because you'll be disappointed. That's not the case, man. You and I have sort of forged a friendship over the last few years. I was super pumped to like finally meet you and spend some time with you, man. And, you're every bit the real article. It's not just, what you see on camera. I can attest. No bullshit. It was fantastic to meet you. I can't wait till we get to hang out again for sure.
I appreciate it. And we're gonna keep moving forward. Keep doing fun things in a cage and outside the cage. But yeah, anytime you want to have me on, I'm ready for it. And definitely bring back Patrick.
Yeah,
awesome. It was great to meet you, bro. And best of luck with the baby coming and the rest of your training too.
Thank you so much. And yeah, we're trying to get a little bit more active on social media. So, and we're publicizing this entire baby shindig. So, can't wait for all the recommendations.
Are you? Did the pillows come yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we got the pillow. My wife's a fan, so huge thank you from her.
Yes. I told my wife about the pillows, and she's like, "He didn't know about the pillows." I was like, "He knows now," and she's like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna like those." So good.
But we had to return the two the smaller pillows because apparently my wife already had them.
Oh, okay.
Like, Drew, talk to me before you Amazon anything. She was like, "We already have those." I was like, "All right, sorry." I got excited.
Well, still a viable recommendation, though. I mean,
yeah, but the full body one, that's gonna be a game changer.
Awesome. Well, look, man, my best to everybody. Tell the wife we said hi. Tell Mama Dober we said hi, and enjoy the time off, man. This is, you only get the first baby one time, so just enjoy it. All right, and heal up. And
Thank
we'll
you.
talk to you soon, bud.
I appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, man. We'll see you.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
I'm gonna say it one more time. I say it every time. Best dude in the sport. I'm not joking around, man.
It is a creepy type of guy that likes to stay that enthusiastic right before they compete. You know, like not only at this level, but like his entire career. I'm like, did that change? Like, were you nervous at first? Like, no, I was always just chilling, amateur, pro, whatever. Like, I'm the type of competitor that's like, I stare at a wall for like 8 hours before I compete. You know, so.
Dude, I was shocked, right? Because so we flew in Saturday morning. And I didn't want to be annoying, so I shot him a text like noon. I'm like, "Hey man, if we can meet up today, that'd be cool." And he's like, "I don't know if we can. I got some other stuff going on, this, that, and the other." And I was like, "Well, I'll come out to you," because they weren't staying in Newark; they were staying out like Morristown, which is like 45 minutes away. I was like, "I'll take an Uber out to you, man." I said, "I just want to, just hang out for a minute." He was like, "Oh, cool. If you're willing to do that, come on out." So we took an Uber out, and he was like, "Well, come on, let's just hang out in the lot." Like, and we just literally sat down in the lobby. You know, it was me, my brother-in-law, and a buddy of mine. We're just hanging out. We spent like 90 minutes talking to us. And he's like, we're just talking about all kinds of dumb stuff and YouTube video, just like dudes just shooting the shit. And I'm like, you know, you're going to get into a fight. My brother-in-law was like, "Drew, you're going to fight somebody here in a little bit. Are you cool with that?" He's like, "Dude, I can't." And it's 15 minutes of my day.
And not just a fight, but like he's, right at the edge of the top 15 in the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's not just a fight. Like I would be concerned if it was just like any level of competitive mixed martial arts. But not only that, the UFC, and he's on a 3-fight finish streak at the highest level. Amazing to stay that calm.
Yeah. I want to address something real quick. Shady says, "How many people did you size up?" Everybody, bro. Everybody. So we went to like I said, we were at the Fighter Hotel. It was very cool environment, very relaxed. Everybody, like teams were down there, like intermingling, playing dominoes together and all kinds of stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and say right now, Danny Castillo walked by. He's got the largest head I've ever seen on a human being. The largest head I've ever seen on a human being is on Danny Castillo. Verna Janjiroba looks like like Pat. I'm not joking, no exaggeration. You could probably shot put that woman at least 35 feet. One of the smallest ladies I've ever seen in my life. Drew is 100% wire and sinew. Like he is like, I know he looks like muscly on TV and stuff like that, but like gave him the dap, gave him the hug. And I kid you not, dude, it was like holding on to like a steel ladder. It was like, you know what I mean?
With a hoof on it.
Yeah, dude, seriously. Like he's gristle, bro. He's so hard. I'm trying to think. Who else? You know OG Shawnee Mack?
Yeah.
OG Shawnee Mack was there. I talked to him for a little bit.
Really?
He's a tinier guy, man. I thought he might be a little bit tall. He's tiny. I'm gonna say tiny, but he's like 5'9", 5'10", probably weighs $160, maybe. Right. So, just tinier guy, man.
I mean, yeah, it's especially at the Fighter Hotel, like all the people that you know from fighting, like martial arts is a small man's game. It really is.
Dude, Bruce Buffer shaped like a freaking like a strawberry, bro. He walks by, like Bruce Buffer walked by. We're in the lobby. Bruce Buffer walks by.
I've met him before. I met him when I was in high school.
Dude, shoulders out to here, and then he just tapers, like hard taper in, and was just like Just like, I mean, like he's carrying around a baseball bat. And then,
yeah, I met him at the Luxor in Vegas when I was in like 10th grade before the fights.
Yeah, there was a couple large. That said, there was quite a few large men and women. Aaron Blanchfield was there.
I saw the Chronic Combat guys with her. Took a picture with her.
Yeah, she's prettier in person than you would think on TV. But
she looks like a completely average chick too. For as much of a badass as she is when she's not like in fighter clothes.
Yeah. And then I had a moment with Anik. I'm glad Adam brought this up. I had an Anik moment that I had to confirm online, but we're pulling off in the Uber, and Anik was walking to because they took Anik to I think it was like a Denali. Like it looked like it was like they were moving the president around. So he's coming out of the hotel as we're leaving in the Uber. And I look at Anik and he looks at me and I'm like looking at him and he's like, gives me the look. And I pointed and he was like, "What's up?" And I was like,
give you one of those, huh?
That's my dude right there. That's my dude. I have to get Anik back on the show, man. I miss talking.
I love John Anik. There's just like back 15 years ago or so, like the only spot on ESPN that was like on ESPN 2 or 3 was like that 1 hour a week where he would do a segment on all of the relevant MMA news that happened in the past like month. That was the only thing that we got on ESPN, like on the mainstream, sort of the mainstream.
What was that? What was that called too? What was the name of that show?
I can't remember. It was just something very generic,
I almost want to call it MMA News, but I know that's not what it was.
Something like that. But it was like 1 hour a week. You could find it on one of those weird ESPN channels, and you had to. I would rewatch that over and over again because it was like all the good content we had. Yeah,
it was that and the Boss Rutan show were like the only things that even remotely touched on MMA for a long time.
The one that was on like HD Net or something. Yeah.
Yep. Oh man. All right, cool. So let's get into this real quick. We got to play some catch up because we're already at 46 minutes in. But let's talk about UFC on ABC4. We got Rosenstrike taking on Almeida this weekend. Charlotte, North Carolina. Admittedly, I probably would have went to this show had it been announced prior to buying my 288 tickets. But because it's way closer to me. But alas, we did not go. I will not be in attendance for this one, although we did talk about it. But we've got 12 fights on the card, I think is what we have remaining here. We lost Angela Hill and Mackenzie Dern, to a later.
That was going to be one of my biggest bets that I've ever placed on a split decision prop.
Absolutely.
If they would have given us that at like the default plus 400 plus 450, I would have put a whole buck on it, dude. I would have put a whole unit on it.
A whole dollar? You would have
a whole buck.
Calm down now. Like we have
a whole Benjamin.
We got a retirement.
Because that would have been that's like easy. That's like free money, dude. Like
it is. Money. Angela Hill is free money.
Striker versus grappler. Angela Hill. Come on. And I'm not as confident in that for a 5-round, but I'll probably still put like 50 on it.
I think it's harder to land on split decisions for 5 rounds. There's just too many variants there. I think it's
you increased your sample size by a couple, and it's important. Now there's like enough of a chance for them to sort of see what's going on. But the judges still don't know. I'm still going to place a split call on that fight, but not as confident.
I appreciate you giving me that scientific breakdown there. I always forget how damn smart you are, man. Golly, it's just
because I said sample size.
Well, you instantly went through the statistical probability and gave me the answers for it. So I appreciate it. All right,
I used a big word. I use sample size,
dude. You said sample size, man. That's exactly that's all it takes around here to be smarter than me. All right, dude. Let's kick it off the main card. I'm gonna let you go first. You got the Dirty Bird, Tim Means, 32-14-1. Taking on Alex Morono, the great white himself. Tim Means plus 188, Morono minus 223. Over under on rounds here, Patrick. 2.5. How do you see this one shaking out?
I mean, I would see the over hitting on this one for the majority of the time, but it's not a call I'd want to place a bet on because you've seen Tim Means' durability, something he used to lean on, kind of go by the wayside now. And even a guy like Max Griffin is dropping him within the first minute of the first round of his last fight. He still hasn't been officially knocked out that many times, but again, getting clubbed and subbed last year by Holland. I feel like his durability at 39 is about to leave him. And Morono, even, we saw him drop Ponzinibbio last time. So he's just a very consistent striker. I like Morono a lot in this fight. I'm going to have a money line bet on him in this one. I just don't see him losing this fight. Tim Means he likes to live in the clinch, live in the dirty box, and be the bigger man. He's got awkward timing, but Morono just is so consistent over 3 rounds. I think he's going to outpace him.
Morono's got dog in him for sure. We saw that in the Ponzinibbio fight. I mean, I don't think we can discount. There's a lot of grit available with Alex Morono, and something I've talked about before. A guy who spends a vast majority of his time teaching and coaching in addition to fighting sort of sees the game play out a little bit different, a little bit more cerebral approach. And even though Alex Morono's skill set may not match his fight IQ, it does allow him to probably compete a little bit above his level. That said, Tim Means, you alluded to the age. I still like the price on Tim here, just based on the creativity, right? He's very much, he's like a, gosh, I want to call him like a trailer park Anderson Silva, but that's still not it. He's just, he is creative though. And when he can get flowy, like when he can enter like the Dirty Bird sort of flow state that he can get into from time to time, he becomes very hard, to deal with. And he uses his range well. He's not afraid to attack the body, like you said, with knees, but he also works the hands of the body as well. And Alex Morono stands very horizontal. He's very shoulders front, doesn't blade very well, doesn't even really have particularly great defense. He is active with the hands, swatting and hand fighting and stuff like that. But Tim Means loves to do that too. He wants to reach out, grab the wrist, punch over top. I think this fight's very interesting. I like the over 2.5 play. I think that's sharp on your side. But I'm going to lean once more into the breach with Tim Means here at plus money, just based on it's. I just think maybe he might have one last good one in him. Now, that said, if Alex Morono beats him, I think it's the last time we see Tim Means fight professionally. I think he should probably. Yeah, I mean, again, 39. I don't think the UFC is going to pick him up and drop in 2 out of his last 3. Or then that'd be 3 in a row, wouldn't it? Because he lost to Kevin Holland, lost to
Max Griffin.
Max Griffin. And this will be 3 in a row.
And that Max Griffin one was a split, but that should not have been a split. I don't know how they called that was a weird night of results too, judging wise.
Yeah.
One of his friends was the judge, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I don't. Here's the thing with Alex Morono. He's very good to back as an underdog and like a guy that's always overlooked. But now he's actually getting the respect in the betting market, which is troubling to me, right? Because now I got to pony up, minus 223 on Alex Morono. I think it is a good matchup for him. I like him here, so I probably will. But it's not normally a spot where I back Morono as a sizable favorite, right? You want to back him when he's being overlooked because he's white as the driven snow and kind of soft looking, but he's a really good fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to lean Tim Means. It'll be a smaller play. It's not sitting here a hill I'm willing to die on, but I like the Dirty Bird, man. I like him, so I'll ride with him a little bit longer. All right. Carlos Olberg at 7-1 taking on Ihor Potieria. Potieria at 19-3, a wealth of experience compared to our boy, Mr. Olberg here. Nope, you don't have that one, Jake. That's okay. I'll pull it up while we're doing that. No big deal. Let's see here. We got Olberg sitting at no, there's no way he's minus 400 already. Has it blown up that much?
It's got to have gotten close.
All right. Well, I'm seeing, I'm seeing BetMGM, or we'll just do FanDuel. FanDuel lines have Olberg at minus 440. Patera coming back at plus 310.
No, it's up there. That's on BetOnline as well. They're changing. My God, dude. Yeah, when I was looking for Natan Levy, because they rebooked the Natan Levy Pete Rodriguez, when I was looking to hit that line again as fast as I could. And then along those lines, I'm like, oh, Carlos Olberg is here at minus 275.
Yes.
By the time I got to it at minus 285. And now it's blown up like crazy. My goodness.
Yeah, that's wild though. I mean, let's talk about it. So we have Patera or Ihor at plus 370, Carlos Olberg minus 440, over on rounds is at 1.5 here. We have the knockout power Olberg. He definitely looked like he bounced back from the Kennedy and Jekwe loss. But then we got Patera on the other side, who just recently beat Shogun, and take from that what you will. I mean, Shogun's 107 years old, goes down to enemy territory, gets the W. I don't even want to necessarily say that he looked great doing it, because he was doing it against a 50-year-old man. Plus 370 though here. I mean, like I like to say, experience is the currency of combat here, and he is very rich in comparison to Carlos Olberg. Olberg is pretty one-dimensional. Now he hits like a truck, but does he really deserve a minus 440 against Patera here? What do you think?
He's on a good streak. Like the two finishes he has is pretty good. He's also, and the Kennedy and Zetriku loss that ages very well now. Like that was an anomaly at the time. Like Kennedy absorbed all the punishment and came back in round 2. Now we know that that's just the MO of how Kennedy kind of functions. Ulberg is getting the shine because he's with City Kickboxing. He's getting the shine because he's the much more polished striker, and combat sports experience. He's probably got more fights. Sure. If you count kickboxing. And if you watch Ihor Peteria's pre-Dana White Contender Series resume, dude, it's terrible. These people have no resumes at all. He's fighting a complete tomato can somewhere in Ukraine. And if you watch some of those fights, there's actually a YouTube video of one of his fights where I think he got a heel hook. It is in like 140p on YouTube. I'm seeing the pixel of somebody's ankle get turned, and he gets the tap apparently. So I sat through as many of those as I could, and he's got the one. It's also the cardio is the thing with Ihor Peteria. He was getting gassed like halfway through the fight with Nikolai Negumarianu. Like you swing and you miss wildly, and he's gassed. He's like a Ukrainian 205 Braxton Smith. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to throw my point on the table,
right?
That's. I think that's why we're getting a minus 440. It sort of makes sense to me. Now, again, 205s, you kind of have that semi heavyweight thing where it's like the volatility. Anybody could land on the chin and get the knockout here, but yeah, you're forced to now look. I like the under 1.5 because that covers the Peteria side, and I think Ulberg gets it done before 7.5 minutes.
Okay, I mean. Do you think the fight favors? I mean, with Patera having a bad gas tank, who do you think the fight favors? Should it go past a round and a half?
Oh, certainly Ulberg. Yeah, certainly. I mean, we at least saw him. We only saw him gas out when he landed 100 and some significant strikes on Kennedy. Otherwise, he was able to dance around and strike competently with Fabio Charant, who was not a great fighter, but at least was able to show that he can dance around. Competitively, stay on the bike for 15 minutes. So, yeah, I don't think Peteria is going to last till the final scorecards.
So, under 1.5 is at even money. Over 1.5 is at even money, and under is at minus 133. You still cool with that?
Yeah, because we've seen Peteria get finished before. He got that standing TKO loss to Nikolai, who I don't think is on the level. And the thing is, Peteria, it's going to be like a head-on car crash because Ulberg loves to be. He's like Adesanya. He'll skirt around and wait to counter strike. Peteria will swing wildly and leave a lot of openings. He's aggressive. So, yeah, under 1.5 for sure.
I like this. Ulberg by KO is this week's Chaos Williams by KO.
Yeah, that's there's always one of these spots where it's like there's no way this guy doesn't get the finish, and then we're all sitting there like, how is this a split decision call? Dude, speaking of that fight, dude, wasn't Bedoya like creepy? Like he was, when guys they get hit clean and they kind of smile to act like they're not hurt. That guy was loving it. He was like a masochist.
Yeah, he was. That was a weird. So okay, we'll talk about the event for a second. I'd say top to bottom was kind of a lackluster event. There wasn't a whole lot. I don't know. I wasn't really blown away by any of the fights. Obviously, Drew losing was an exclamation point of suck on there, but we kept waiting for moments of violence or really great back and forth fights, and it just kind of kept showing up, just a little bit short, right? The Phil Haas fight was great. That was a brutal knockout. Mm-hmm. The pop Chaos Williams got when he came out was arguably it was at least top 3 biggest all night. I mean, he came out, dude, and that place his whole intro was crazy. It was nothing but red lights. I think he came out to Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill. It was bananas, and everybody's wanting blood. And the moment it realized, people were hey, he's not going to get this kid out of here, and this fight's a lot closer than it looks. Mm-hmm. It really kind of brought the energy level down. I think everybody was waiting for that, it was the main course of violence in the prelims, and it just did not deliver there. So
there's always that one weirdo from the regional scene where you're why is he in the UFC? And then he ends up being actually really durable, having a granite chin. And I think Chaos Williams really did believe his own ability to, as he should have, but he was chasing the finish as quickly as possible. And once it didn't materialize, he had no more pop left in his punches. He was loading up the shoulder and telegraphing everything. Horrible.
You know what, you nailed it right there too. He like turned really stiff, like very rigid, very, you could tell he was loading everything. That's a great assessment. Yeah, he absolutely was just he wanted it too bad. He didn't let it come to him. He was just chasing it.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, fill me in real quick. You're on the Oldberg side there?
Big, yeah, I got a parlay with him and Natan Levy.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, let's talk about this one because I see a lot of back and forth here. I'm actually feeling pretty. I don't want to say I feel confident, but I definitely have a line in the sand here. Daniel Rodriguez 17-3 taking on Ian Machado Gary, undefeated at 11-0. I'll let you kick this off. Gary is now at a minus 315 over D-Rod, plus 265. That line keeps moving. Over and around is at 2.5. What do we see here?
Yeah, I was looking at that when it was it was like what, plus 200 for D-Rod, plus 220. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And then before I could even finish my research, it was like all the way at plus 260 for D-Rod, which is crazy. And I'm no different than anybody else, just chomping at the bit to fade Ian Gary, trying to capitalize on this guy's like striking defense, lacking ability, and it's stuff we saw against, excuse me, stuff we saw against Jordan Williams, stuff we saw against Darian Weeks. This guy pulls back. He's got that tall man defense, and you can find the chin of Ian Gary, but I feel like he's getting better. Even in that Song Kanan fight, he got hit early, went back and was more defensively liable in the next part of that fight. And again, he wasn't chasing the knockout. He let it come naturally, like we mentioned Cass Williams failed to do last week. And I came out of the research liking Ian Gary in this spot. Not at the price. I think there is value on the Daniel Rodriguez side, but I can't find myself to bet it because I think Gary's going to win a decision here. I think he's going to be able to skirt around the outside. He's 11 years younger, still going to be making improvements. And when you rewatch the fights and you do the tape study on Ian Gary, it looks a lot more impressive rewatching it than when I saw it live, like when I saw any of his fights live. So his timing is really good. The way he draws people into traps and then snipes them at range, he's very impressive. Now, D-Rod is the better finisher, I'd say. He's got the better chance to get this done inside the distance, but I think that's his only path. I don't see him winning a decision here. So it's a cardio concern, too, because we saw D-Rod in his last fight against Neil Magny, who's a more experienced guy, but a lot easier of a target to find than Ian Gary's going to be, and he gassed out in that fight. And that's why he got darsed. So, yeah, I'm liking the Gary by decision, but I don't want to play anything on this fight. If I played something, I want to know your opinion on this one.
Yeah.
Daniel Rodriguez inside the distance scorecards is no action is like plus 185. The last time I checked. I like that one because then I could share in the glee of fading this guy and calling his demise here, but I could also just have nothing to do with it if it goes to the decision. So,
right.
What do you think about that price?
I like that, but I also like Daniel Rodriguez at this price. Admittedly, I jumped the gun too early. I got Daniel Rodriguez around the plus 210 spot. I jumped the
value there, dude. I would say what, like Ian Gary minus 175 in this fight? That would be appropriate.
Right.
You know what
right.
I mean? So,
like I jumped the gun. I didn't realize I was going to continue to get Daniel Rodriguez, get pennies on my dollar here. That being said, I still like him in this play because I see the people that are beating Daniel Rodriguez and they don't fight the way Ian Gary fights. Now, I'm not saying that Ian Gary's not getting better. I'm not saying that even that Ian Gary might not be a better martial artist in the sense, and probably will maybe have a higher, career ceiling. But the guys that beat Daniel Rodriguez are the guys that are able to drown him, the guys that are able to mix wrestling, the threat of takedowns, submission threats, and make him work over and over again. You mentioned him gassing out against Neil Magny. When Neil Magny somebody, he drowns them for 15 or 25 minutes on live TV. That's what we get to see. Now, Neil's getting older. He doesn't do it as often anymore, but that is textbook Neil Magny, right? We jab, we press against the cage, we drag you down, we make you work. I don't see Ian Gary coming out and fighting that way against Daniel Rodriguez. He's going to give him 15 minutes of karate stance striking. He's going to dart in, dart out, try to catch him with that, with that slip counter every time. Mm-hmm. I like Daniel Rodriguez's chances over 15 minutes to touch Ian Gary because we're going to be honest here. I know Song Kanan is a professional mixed martial artist. I understand that. But that was a fight where Ian Gary was supposed to showcase, and he got clipped hard
He tasted the canvas for a second there.
Yes, it was
impressive the way he bounced back, though.
100%. I won't discount that. No, absolutely not. But the price given on Daniel Rodriguez, I like. Here's the other thing, and we have now entered the land of no scientific backing and sheer eyeball judgment here. Okay, Ian Gary's only fought clean guys. He's only fought like dudes that don't have any grit, don't have any dog, like dudes with no tattoo. Like he's only fought clean dudes. Daniel Rodriguez, you can lean into the whole prison fight thing, this, that, and the other, but Daniel Rodriguez is not above taking a point. He's not above. Listen, he's just not, though. He'll grab a glove. He'll hold on to the cage. He'll fight dirty. Like he's got that in him.
Can I tell you what, Dale? I had a moment where I was researching this fight a couple days ago, and I just sat for like 15 minutes and just thought in my mind of like, what if Ian Gary is whooping this guy up, outpointing him? And I just imagine all of these. I just imagine all these guys in San Quentin just huddled around the TV, just like, what is going on?
Right.
What's happening to our boy?
Right. Exactly.
Look how they massacred my boy.
And that's it's super judgy to say it like that, but I just don't like. Ian Gary is like you talked about Alex Moreno. He's clean as the white as and clean as the aspen snow, and Daniel Rodriguez is not that, man. He's going to come out there, and we might just see it. This could legitimately look like a street beefs fight more than anything else.
On the contrary, when I was this never leaves my mind. It's one of those like old adages that like your parents tell you. Okay. I used to watch when I was really young growing up. My mom was a martial artist, and we'd go and watch Vale Tudo and cage fights when I was really, really young.
Right.
And there was a case like this where one guy had no tattoos, one guy was like, looked like D-Rod, from forehead to toe.
Sure.
And he got his ass beat to a bloody pulp. And she's like, see all those tattoos? That was a lot of time he could have spent in the gym training.
You know what? And that, dude, and that is 100% accurate, right? I mean, especially as, me, I love guys that are wrestlers. And more often than not, wrestlers are just guys that spend a lot of time in the gym. They're all clean skin and everything else. Not that tattoos make the man. I just think that Daniel Rodriguez is willing to fight dirty and might take Ian to deeper waters that he may or may not be able to.
I want to see one of his homies like just slide him through the cage like a pair of brass knucks. And
he just pulls out like a little shiv, little shank in the back. All of a sudden, Gary's like leaking from his ribs, and we're like, wait a second, nobody's ever been cut.
If he's down 2 rounds, then they're gonna have to go for the toothbrush.
He stabs him like what's his face stabbed Russell Crowe and in Gladiator. He just hits him in the kidneys. Oh shit! All right, I want to address.
I will say though, just to go over that one more time. Yeah, this is a crazy number. If you're a gambling man that looks for values and mispriced lines, D-Rod is your guy this week. But I might play the safer approach and play the scorecards no action. I don't see him getting finished.
I like that. That's a good out of not out of the pocket, but just off the beaten path kind of way to assess the fight. I like that. Dale, did you book your tickets for CES on Friday? No, I did not. Making the trek to Boston for $292. When is that? Because we might actually be able to do that. When is $292? That's is that July?
Yeah, all the way in the fall, right? $292. That's a ways away. We're talking about.
We just did $288. So yeah, so
that's like 4 months away. At least
we're 4 away. Yeah, so maybe August time period. We might be able to make that work. Actually, that's a real thing that might happen.
August 19th. I just looked it up.
August 19th. Ooh, it's pretty close to the wife's birthday. We'll talk about that. Hit me. We'll talk about that. But that's close. We might be able to make that work. Actually. Okay. Cool. Let's. What do we got next? We've got co-main event of the evening. Was initially the main event, but is now the co-main. Anthony Smith taking on Johnny Walker. Anthony Smith 36-17. Johnny Walker at 20-7. Pick him through and through. I think if I'm correct, Johnny Walker opened up as a slight favorite and has now been bet down to a pick 'em. If I'm remembering the line movement correctly, over and around is at 1.5 here. What do you got here, Patrick?
Yeah, I saw this with Anthony Smith at like plus 150 at a certain point the last week. I couldn't find myself to bet it just because Anthony Smith has been really inactive recently, more than he has been for the handful of years we saw him from like entering the UFC, right? Going from middleweight to light heavyweight. He was pretty active every quarter. And then pandemic hits. He's got the desk job now. He's not fighting as often. And the last time we saw him was last year when his ankle gave out, re-landing off that kick on Magomed Ankalaev. So,
yeah.
Man, it's weird that both these guys are such killer-be-killed fighters because you can see that visually from Johnny Walker. He's wild. He's ridiculous. He's free-flowing, creative, and gets knocked out. But Anthony Smith is very similar. He's only been to the decision, like a winning decision result a few times in his entire career.
Right.
I think out of his 36 wins, like 32 are inside the distance finishes. So, yeah, I mean, I could see this not leaving round one, no matter who gets this one, because Walker is that type of guy. He's had 10 UFC fights, only 8 of them. They've finished in round one. Only 2 have actually gone onto the scorecards. Now, I think Johnny Walker wins. I think he's going to take more risks, and we're starting to see this aggressive version of Walker come back that we haven't seen in a bit. Hammer fisting and just pimp slapping the consciousness out of Paul Craig last time. Something like that could play out. That was pretty remarkable. So
right,
he's going to take a risk and either pay for it with his consciousness or get club and sub the way that Anthony Smith did Ryan Spann. But I'm taking Walker here. I think he's now that he's going towards an underdog price, that's better. But Johnny Walker fights by nature are coin tosses, so you don't want to pay a pick and price tag on him.
I think I'm not willing to call no marijuana Johnny Walker a mythical fighter yet, but him getting off the ganja has really made a difference. I mean, it really.
Dude, all the weed people on Twitter got so angry. They're like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. They got angry. Anytime they face any criticism, they
get super mad. So I don't want to necessarily qualify him as a mythical fighter yet, but definitely momentum is on Johnny Walker's side right now. He is boom or bust, no doubt about that. It's feast or famine with Johnny Walker. Pick 'em price, okay. I'm with you. I like under 1.5 here. I'm just going to play the fragile nature of Anthony Smith and the feast or famine nature of Johnny Walker. I'll go under 1.5 here. I actually like that they put Rosenstrike and Almeida as the main event because I thought this was a very weak main event. So I'm glad they made that switch.
Now, doesn't it seem like Johnny Walker has been knocked out more times than he has?
It does. And the reason why that is because every knockout that he suffers is a meme. He's a cartoon character when he gets knocked out.
Because he got knocked out by Corey Anderson in the UFC many moons ago. That was the first time he had lost. Then he got knocked out by Jamal Hill badly, where he looked like that car lot inflatable device. But he almost got knocked out from Ryan Spann, but he came back and won that fight with those elbows.
Who knocked him out on the regional scene too? I thought it was just.
Oh yeah, that guy like Enrique Silva Lopez in title fight. Yeah, where he got knocked out like 10 times, like the rubber man.
Yeah, that one was real bad. That was real bad. He's a meme every time he gets knocked out. So I think that's why it feels that way.
If Smith wins, it would be him landing something devastating on the chin and then jumping on Johnny Walker's back for the RNC. I think it'll look very similar to the Ryan Spann fight if he wins.
My problem with Anthony Smith is he comes out looking tired already. He does the Tim Kennedy thing where I don't necessarily know that he knows how to work out or work up a sweat in the back properly. He comes out every time dripping sweat already looks like he's tired. And then for the first 8 minutes of a fight, you're wondering whether or not he's exhausted. And then after that, he is exhausted. And it's like, is it just, you cannot regulate your adrenaline correctly? Or you have somebody that's working you out too hard in the back? Like what is that, man? Because he always looks, I can't help but think that you were better prepared than this. Every time he comes out, he looks completely overworked by the time he gets out.
Yeah, he's a very strange guy. I mean, like I said, he's killer be killed just like Johnny Walker. He just looks like a cleaner fighter, but his results are no different. Go under 1.5 here. Go fight doesn't start round 2 as a parlay piece.
I like that.
I might try to find when DraftKings drops the same game parlays in a couple days. I might look for like Johnny Walker in some sort of same game parlay with under 7 minutes and by knockout and see what I can get as far as plus money goes.
Right. Yeah, I can dig that. This is a good opportunity. We're an hour and 13 minutes in. We haven't talked about books yet. I'm going to mention a book, King of All Things by Clark Savage. He talks about man's martial purpose, and one of which being able to be proficient in combat in spite of life or death situations. And he uses the situation that occurred with Anthony Smith a few years ago, where the guy that was a, high school wrestler that weighed 140 pounds broke into Anthony Smith's house, and it took every fiber of Anthony Smith's being to be able to subdue this guy till the police could get there. There's a fantastic chapter in that book based almost entirely on this incident and how and why you should apply the principles of what happened in there to your life as a man. Again, the name of the book is King of All Things. The author is Clark Savage.
Do they talk about how embarrassing that is to be a professional fighter and you can't subdue a guy in your own garage? Do they talk about how embarrassing that is and how it's a smear on the sport?
I mean, he doesn't really approach it that way, if I'm being honest with you, Pat.
I'll rewrite a better version.
All right. Well, you go ahead and you send me the addendum to it, and then we'll send it over to.
This needs a couple footnotes.
Yeah, we'll send it over to Clark. He's very active on Twitter. I'm sure he'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So give it a perusing and let him know. All right, main event of the evening. I love it. We're going to rewrite this whole chapter. Jairzinho Rozenstruik taking on Jailton Almeida. Almeida at 18-2. Rozenstruik at 13-4. Almeida at a -500 price here. We need to be realistic here. Rozenstruik plus 375. Over and under rounds at 1.5. As my guest. Main event is yours, good sir.
I love this main event. This is a great one, man. Heavyweight main events are just great. They're always going to be great. How can they not be? It could end in 30 seconds. It could be a long, drawn-out affair here, but I don't think it's going to go past 2 rounds here. Jailton Almeida has just been this weird creature that's come in through the Contender Series at 205, sort of had those weird catch weights at 220, you remember? Yeah. And then against maybe Danilo Marquez and the Turkey fight were both, but dude, he's realizing that he's just fast enough and good enough of a grappler. He can melt through all these fat bum heavyweights, and it's been working super well. And I actually took the pleasure of timing all of his takedowns so far. I got the stopwatch out, and he's gotten faster every single fight so far since the Contender Series. Contender Series, he fought a fellow grappler, 205, and it took him a minute 40 to get the first takedown. His fight against Marquez, 25 seconds. His fight against Porter, 22 seconds to the first takedown. His fight against Turkey, 15 seconds. And then his last fight against Shamil, it took him just 12 seconds to get a takedown. So he's getting faster and faster, the heavier people they feed him here. So I like his style. Now, we saw, Shamil try to time a counter, because what does Jailton do every time? He shoots a snap front kick to the body, and then he shoots the double leg. So Rozenstruik is probably going to try to counter that with something. He likes those flying knees. We've seen him have success with that before. But Rozenstruik, dude, people have to remember that this guy is probably the most powerful puncher in the UFC now that Ngannou is gone. He probably is, and he does it in such subtle ways too. His jab is like a death touch. Yeah. When he jabs people, they're already on Queer Street, and then he just follows it up with like a big hook, and they're due for. So, great puncher's chance from Rozenstruik for sure. The guy conserves his energy well. He kind of sleepwalks around like he's on barbiturates, and then as soon as you touch his chin, he's a very durable guy. He just it's like kicking a beehive is the way I describe it. He swarms on you, and you're screwed. So. But that being said, he's a little wimp on the ground, though. We saw him get bullied around by a 40-year-old Alistair Overeem, which Overeem's the man. He's one of my favorites. But at that point, he would just learn how to grapple, basically. And he was able to have his way with Rozenstruik. So Jailton, I think, is going to find that neck. He's going to beat Rozenstruik's face in until he gives up the neck. And it's going to be a, sub 3-minute submission? Rozenstruik?
Sub 3 minute.
I think sub 3 minutes we see Almeida get that submission.
Okay. So I wonder what those lines will look like, because those lines will avail themselves where like fight ends in under a minute, under 2 minutes, under 3 minutes. I wonder what that'll look like.
It won't look good enough, because that's a hefty proposition. You know what I mean? Like the inside the distance props for Almeida are always trash. They're terrible. You'd be better off trying to find some good props for Rozenstruik as a long shot.
I think one of the interesting things about Rozenstruik is the respect factor. When he is scared, like we saw like in the Ngannou fight, if you can, I don't want to say scared. Scared's tough. That's not necessarily the right word. But when he is shook, right, or to the point where he realizes he's in danger, he fights animalistically, like you said, kicking a beehive. It doesn't always work out in his favor, though. We saw it with the Alexander Volkov fight. We saw it with the Francis Ngannou fight. He just doesn't respond well to you not letting him, like you said, act like he's on barbiturates. Like he wants you to just kind of, be a willing dance partner to his thing. And when you switch up the momentum on him, he does not like that at all. He does not adapt well to it. It's not something that he particularly has a game plan B or C for. I think he's going to be, I'm using the word scared here because I don't know another word. My source is failing here. I think he's going to be so concerned rather with what Almeida brings to the table. He's going to be so hyper reactive that he's either going to be beehive from the very beginning, or he's going to be too reactive, which will allow Almeida to either get the takedown or catch him with something, because he thinks the takedown's coming. I personally like no round 3 start. I don't think you're going to get a great price on it.
What's that going to be, minus 2,000?
Right. Well, it'll probably be the minus 325 range whenever it drops. I would imagine
that wouldn't be bad at all. Like I wouldn't mind playing that to get a fraction of $100 back.
Yeah, if it's around there, I'll probably play it when it drops. Under 1.5 seems like where we might want to be. Because here's the thing, right? Is that Almeida, all intents and purposes against UFC level competition, is unproven in the sense that the guys he's beaten are not like Parker Porter, Danilo Marquez, Shamil. I'm not like over the moon about those guys. If he can't get that first 7-minute finish, or like you said, sub 3-minute finish against Rosenstrike, dude, Rosenstrike can win this fight. I mean, he is worth consideration. Plus, it's big boys playing high stakes punch face. Anything can happen. But I'm on the Almeida side initially. I like under 1.5. I like no round 3 start. Damn it if they aren't big boys, and you'd be shocked, man, what a punch from Rosenstrike can do. That boy, he boops you on your nose and you go night.
The under 2.5 on Bovada right now is minus 450.
Oh hell no, I ain't touching that then. No,
the under 1.5, the under 1.5 minus 220.
No, we're good. Yeah, I don't. These prices are so wild.
They have Almeida round 1 at minus 110.
Okay.
I feel like that ain't bad considering the way that he fights, but we just saw him going around 2 with some of these bigger guys. Rosenstrike is pretty durable as far as being able to hold his consciousness. Aside from the Ngannou fight, he's very, very durable. I've seen him take massive strikes and barely flinch, which would lead me to believe it's probably going to be a submission.
How do you feel about this, right? So what if you do, let's see, if you get Rosenstrike wins in round 1, right? You're at plus 1,100. Almeida wins in round 1. You're at plus 110, you said?
Minus 110.
Minus 110. All right. Yeah. So minus 110. Rosenstrike round 1. Then you get Almeida round 2 and Rosenstrike round 2. And just play them individually and stagger your units at you could do, hell, even if you did 0.1 or 0.25 units on all 4 of those, the only way you would lose money on Almeida. You'd have to go bigger on Almeida round 1 to make up for the other 3.
Yeah, you have to make it a situation where it's like a break even if it doesn't get extended, something like that, maybe. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, so you could go like a half of a unit on Almeida round 1 and like 1/10 of a unit on the other 2 by finishes, and then if Almeida wins in round 2 or Rosenstrike wins in 1 or 2, you're making money, and if Almeida wins in round 1, you're breaking even. So you're just kind of like insuring. It's like just adding built-in insurance for a means method on a round 1 or 2 finish for both guys.
Yeah, I think the chat's correct. There's value on those KO props. I don't see it playing out that way, but there's value on them for sure because we've seen him submit people. But yeah, with some of these bigger guys, what happens if he just gets in a mount like he did with Danilo Marquez and starts playing the drums on Rosenstrike's face? The ref will just step in.
Yeah, I hate playing sub. Like, yeah, that's exactly it. I'm always so weary of sub only props because guys and grapplers, gals will get them in that position, and they'll just
Mhm.
opt for just clubbing over the sub. So
They got to be juicy props, and we're so blinded by the fact that Almeida is such a massive favorite that you're just looking for like the slightest crumb of plus money when really we would never even look twice at these props if it was anybody else.
right.
So
And
I
it's
remind
also
myself of that.
absolutely. I mean, and that's an astute way to approach it too. It's how you save yourself from losing a lot of money, which is something I could learn from time to time. Patrick, I appreciate you keeping me humble, man. All right, let's run through these prelims pretty quick here, bud. Jessica Rose Clark coming back 11-8, taking on Tainara Lisboa at 5-2. Miss Jessie Jess, a crowd favorite for reasons other than her fighting style. Basically a pick 'em, but Lisboa at one point in time was a underdog, and we went ahead and locked up that plus 115 whenever it was there, just before it got back to that even money, because you know me, I love women's underdogs, bro. So it's not so much that I'm all about that Lisboa, even though she had her moments against Norma. It's a fade against Jessica Rose Clark.
I think it's a good fade too, because Rose Clark's training is a little tumultuous. I think in the past few months she's moved to Texas with her boyfriend, has been training with him, and I think he owns a karate gym or something weird like that. So she's like getting like pieces. She's got like a quilt of training, which is not uncommon, but at this level, she's like going to one place for like a, Pilates boxing class. She's going to one place for a striking class. Yeah. She's like driving an hour just to go to find a cage to spar in. So It's a little bit all over the place. I picked her to win this fight just because she does have that. We haven't seen her go away now. Like in a fight, she's not quitting in round one. She's against at least middle of the pack competition, going 4-4 in the league. Whereas Lisboa is looking great on the regionals, but these women she's facing, man, they're quitting.
Yeah,
when the going gets tough, she's just folding through these people. You've got the Muay Thai striker in Lisboa arm triangling two of these women who didn't even know what the hell she was doing.
Right?
They're like, "Why are you pushing my neck over here?"
Right. This doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
So what's up, Effie? That's the problem. She looks very capable, and her knees to the body, dude. She's finished so many girls with that on the Muay Thai scene, and I watched so much footage of Lisboa. It was probably like 2 hours, and I'm like, what am I doing? Am I watching all these Muay Thai fights from like 2010?
Right.
But it was fun to see her career, and I don't know. I hope she is a formidable threat, dude. At plus money, I think it's a good bet.
Yeah, and if it goes back to that, I would encourage people to play this fight. I mean, the pick'em is exactly that. So I will. I'm on Lisboa. I was able to get a little bit of plus money on her. I'll take it. Women's science. Jason says, real quick, go back to that main event. Is Rose strike a bum? Heavyweight punch face. If I get Rose in at plus 300 for KO, I lay lumber. All right, brother. Build that house, man. Lay that lumber.
You said what? For KO?
Yeah.
Dude, his money line is like going to be like plus 400, yeah?
Right.
Close to it?
Yeah. Yeah. Gabe Green, 11-4. Brian Battle, 8-2. Boy, Brian Battle, we're getting him at plus money. Taking on Gabe Green, minus 131. Brian Battle, plus 111 over on rounds of 2.5. I want to go Gabe Green here, but I mean, dude, Brian Battle continues to like exceed my expectations on what his skill ceiling actually is. He really should, like, he kind of rises to the occasion for all intents and purposes. Now, that's not without hiccup. I'm not saying that he's flawless. The Renat Fakhretdinov fight, I mean, who else out there is really going to win that fight, going that way? But I mean, the win over Trayshawn Gore felt like he was punching above his weight class. The Takashi Sato knockout was fantastic. Even then, he never like gave up in the Renat Fakhretdinov fight. He was just outskilled, I think is probably a better way to put it. He just couldn't find a way to get back to his feet, man, and just keep that pace that Renat was able to put on him. Gabe Green, on the other hand, I don't think Gabe Green's going to be able to keep a pace like that on Brian Battle. And Battle's going to come with the cardio. So I think he's worth consideration at plus money.
Yeah, for sure. I got Gabe Green at minus 125 because it dipped down pretty low.
I like that.
Let's see where the money line's at now. I was waiting for it. Let's see. Yeah, so it's just around that price, minus 130.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a battle between the Gabe Green big moments. If he could pressure and trap Brian Battle on the cage, I think this is an easier version for Gabe Green of a fight than Ian Gary was.
Sure.
But I think like as far as the cat and mouse pacing of this fight, it's going to be similar, and it's going to be an easier target for him to land on. And he's got a pretty good, well-rounded skill set as well. Good grappling. He's physically strong. But Brian Battle could win this just based off of, if he could maintain distance, just be the busier striker, he's definitely going to have the higher output over 3 rounds. But I think Gabe Green is going to be able to find this target. And I picked Gabe Green to beat Ian Gary last time, which sounds really dumb in hindsight. But at the time, given the information we had, I've just seen him come back from adversity a little bit more. We've seen Gabe Green get flatlined by Johan Linnes momentarily and then bounce back up and come back and win that fight. He already had that beatdown and humbling at the hands of Daniel Rodriguez early on. I like the skill set. I think it's a well-rounded one, and I think there's more to meets the eye to Gabe Green. I've got a belief in this guy for some reason, and we'll find out if I'm correct on that or not. But minus 125, sign me up for that.
Intangibles are hard to measure, man. And sometimes when you've got a feeling in your plums, you just got to go for it. So, I can appreciate it. I think it's weird. You and I aren't normally this far, or we're not this far, but you and I aren't normally apart on a lot of plays.
No.
So it's interesting that
there's a lot of really close money lines. So by nature, I think it'll be closer.
I think that's probably where it's leaning. I like, real quick, last thing, I like Battle, his ability to threaten that takedown, sporadically as well too. Just another thing that I like. All right. We got a women's play here. We got Jin Young Kim at 9-6-2. Only in women's MMA do we get records like this. Taking on Mandy Bohm at 7-2. Mandy Bohm, we're getting her to plus 165. Jin Young Kim at minus 190. Over under on rounds of 2.5. There's no need for me to bury the lead here, Pat. I'm on Mandy Bohm because I like women's underdogs, and Jin Young Kim sucks. So,
my God.
Not that Mandy Bohm is good, but Jin Young Kim sucks, dude. She's not good at all. Come on, man. You're on the Kim side? You love her in this, don't you?
No, I don't. What I did like was the Mandy Bohm, it was an egregious money. She's like plus 200.
Yes, plus
at
200.
A certain point.
Yeah.
Ji and Kim was like a minus 275, minus 280 favorite, which okay, that's fine over Mandy Bohm, but she's at, Ji and Kim's on a 4-fight losing streak, and oof. The Priscilla Cachoeira fight showed a lot for Ji and Kim. I mean, she has heart, she's got durability for that fight. She's got cardio to kind of keep up that pace and triple up Priscilla on strikes, even though she lost technically. But Mandy Bohm doesn't have many of those qualities, man. Like, she's got a really good first round. She tends to fade. She likes to play that kind of hands low, bait you in for the pull counters sort of game plan that she can never really. She's not fast enough or smooth enough to pull that off. But I do think there is more to Mandy Bohm than we've seen in the UFC so far. She's gone 0 for 5 on takedowns between the two opponents. But Ariane Lipski just beat the piss out of her, and Victoria Leonardo, that's her game plan, was to take the fight to the mat. So on the regionals, you can see a little bit more clinch work for Bohm. You see a little bit more takedown ability. And we know about Ji and Kim, she can't stop takedowns. There's just not many people that really threaten that on her. But when they do, she's on the mat. So I could see a lot of people having a lot of faith in Kim, saying Mandy Bohm sucks, and then she ends up on her back for 2 rounds out of 3, and Dale's cashing his Mandy Bohm ticket.
I mean, it again, it's a fade. It's a fade on Ji Young Kim, and it's not to say that Mandy Bohm is really good, but I mean, when your most relevant win was over Nadia Qasim, I can't co-sign anything that you do. Or
that was a hilarious fight, by the way. Do you remember that fight?
Oh, it was Well, Qasim tried to come out and do the old Mark Hominick Korean zombie thing, where she wanted to. They went for the glove touch, and she came over the glove and tried to hit her. So that was.
Yeah. And then she instantly ran face first in the cage a second later. Amazing. Yeah. But no, I like Kim in this spot. I think she should win this fight, but there's that chance though that Mandy Bohm could dominate in the clinch and work some sort of Khabib style wrestling clinic on her. I don't know.
Well, walk with me down the path of my broken logic here. Is that when you have women like this that are so low level skill wise, what is the pull to even lean towards the minus money at all? Because they're both so bad. Yeah. Why not view it more as a 50-50, what it seems
you should. You should. And if you're betting this, you certainly should. If I'm picking it, I'm picking Kim because she's just a better fighter for the majority of the fight. I think I think this does stay standing from what we've seen so far, and I think she wins. But you're right. A favorite price tag when you're paying chalk on any line, male or female, any division, the margin of error is far less than if you're playing plus money, right? So Yeah, if you're looking at that lens for women's MMA at this level, even at the high level, dude, like you throw in an Alexa Grasso against Shevchenko,
right?
Come out on top.
All right. Well, now you got this is part of your parlay, so I'll let you lead the dance here. Natan Levy taking on Pete Rodriguez. 8-1 for Levy and 5-1 for Pete. Levy at a -250 spot. Rodriguez +210, +211 over in rounds at 1.5. You said this fight was part of a parlay that you were putting together. What side of it is part of this parlay?
It's the Natan Levy money line with Carlos Ulberg. So I got 2 fights back to back. I think this is, of course, the more risky part of that. But people are making it sound like Pete Rodriguez is like the second coming of Mike Tyson, and it's getting me a little bit nervous.
They really are, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. But luckily, and they might force my hand to put like 25 on Pete Rodriguez round 1 knockout, which is the only way he's proven to win a fight, and that's +850. So if you're looking to have some fun, you want to roll the dice on this guy's upset ability. That's the only way he's been proven to win a fight, and it's +850. So not bad at all. I might hedge out on that just a little bit since I have like 2 units on the parlay. But Natan Levy's should be able to maintain distance. He's got more experience. He's faster, can switch stances, and he's got the grappling too. He could just take the path of least resistance, hopefully, and get this fight to the mat and work something. We haven't seen Pete Rodriguez leave. Have we seen him leave round 1? I don't even think one early round 2 performance where he got a knockout. So who knows what this guy looks like down the stretch. Levy by submission or decision is how I see this going. But I hope he just plays a safe fight and just takes the fight to the mat. And hopefully we see Pete gas out. That's how I see this playing out. But yeah, everybody's talking about how this guy's boxing is so good. I mean, I guess we do know that he's somewhere between Mike Jackson and Jack Della Maddalena. We know he's somewhere in between. He's somewhere skill-wise in between Jack Della and Mike Jackson.
Right, he occupies some level, some real estate in between those two.
He's somewhere on the space-time continuum.
What does that parlay shake out as? At like -135? What does that parlay come out at?
You're close. I think it was -121.
-121. Okay.
Because I got a pretty good price on Ulberg. It was like -280, -290 on him, and then -285 on Natan Levy. I overpaid it. I didn't think it would come back down.
What, you didn't pay the -400 price?
No. I mean the Natan Levy I overpaid for. Like I paid -285 on Natan Levy. Now it's come down to -250. So I saved myself on the Ulberg side, but not on the Levy side.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm on Levy here as well. But I mean, I don't want to say he has low fight IQ, but he has a tendency to just fumble. Use the new kid's phrase, fumble the bag. In fights sometimes, dude. He just
you use new kid logic or phrases, dude. It's great.
Yeah, it's good.
You're doing that a lot.
I'm trying.
You used cheeks the last time I was on. You're like, that's cheeks or something like that.
No, I never said that.
You did, yeah.
You're
like, he's cheeks.
No, I didn't say that.
Hey, Jake, pull up that clip of him saying cheeks.
Jake,
I'll pull it up after the show. I know it's out there.
I never said cheeks, unless I said it tongue in cheek. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But no, I think Levy is he has mental lapses, right? He's shown himself to be mental lapse, man. He seems like he's not all the way in there sometimes. He has just not impressed me the way I have wanted him to going into it, right? Like I had I think probably what burned me was the Hoffa Garcia fight. I really was not blown away, by that. And I don't know now looking at that, if that was such a bad loss or not, because Hoffa's been kind of hit and miss there with what he's done. So maybe it was just a matter of skill and experience based on where Levy was at in his career. He should definitely be the favorite against Pete Rodriguez. I don't understand why everybody's acting like Pete Rodriguez, like you said, is the second coming of Mike Tyson. I really don't see where that's coming from. I don't understand the Rodriguez love. I guess my thing that is shying me away from this is the mental lapses of Levy. I just don't particularly think that he's locked in and dialed in enough to get Pete out of there, short of Pete doing something really dumb, which leads the fight to extend. And I just don't know what to expect. So this is a pass fight for me. I have no action on this whatsoever.
Yeah, you're the lucky one. But it was Pete Rodriguez that pulled out of the fight the last time this was booked, right? So it was probably something minor. I'm not sure if it was disclosed, but it's something minor. This is his first time going back down to 155 in a bit, I think. So
yeah,
who knows?
All right, man. Let's get the next one. What do we got here? Cody Stamann taking on Douglas Silva de Andrade. 28-5 taking on Cody Stamann. 21-5-1. Cody Stamann at a -145 here. Silva de Andrade plus 125. And I love this as far as matchmaking goes. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not excited about this fight. This is, I don't want to say like hardcore fan, but this, if you're a fight fan and you're watching these events week in and week out like we do, this is great matchmaking. This is a fight that you earmarked when you saw the announcement as being something you should pay attention to and one that you're excited about. I don't love that it's buried in the middle of the prelims. This should be, in my opinion, this should be a main card bout. I love this fight. This is fireworks. Cody Stamann, great wrestling, good cardio, good hands, and Douglas Silva de Andrade. It's impossible for me to wrap my head around the fact that this guy is not pissing through the USADA Cup every time they go to test him. I mean, his cardio is through the roof. He's 0% body fat. He hits like a truck. He kicks lightning fast. His energy is through his fast twitch muscles are just like that of a cheetah. He's unbelievable, and he's old, which I don't understand. And he's going up against Cody Stamann, who's as polished as you could ever want a fighter to be. Over and around at 2.5 here. They have 2.5 to get it done. Cody Stamann not known for finishing, while Douglas Silva de Andrade will definitely finish you if you give him the opportunity. Dude, this has fight of the night written all over it. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a really fun matchup here. And I went into you ever have these beautiful moments? Maybe they're not beautiful, but you go into the preconceived notion of the matchup. You see the name, and I'm like, I want to bet Cody Stamann here. He's fighting somebody old, a little bit inactive. He's got the wrestling. He can take the knockout artist off of his feet and win this fight. It's a pretty good price tag on it. I'm going to bet Cody Stamann. Let's dive into this deeper. And I came out loving Douglas Silva de Andrade, and I came out with a bet on the underdog here, even at 37 years old, almost 38 at bantamweight. That's the only red flag I could come up with in this fight. That's it. Yeah. So as far as the technical striking goes, I give it to D Silva. Cody Stamann does have power, but he can never get out of range. He can never get in and out of range without getting hit more than he lands,
right?
Ever. And if he can't get the fight to the mat and dominate the wrestling for the whole fight, he falls apart. That's any fight he's ever had, he falls apart if he can't get the fight to the mat and hold it there. So D Silva is very good. He floats his hips on top when he gets taken down. He scrambles well. He's got the BJJ, but he's got power in his hands, and I think he's going to keep this on the feet. Look, the guy just had a close fight with Said Nurmagomedov, who's a very long fighter, distance striker, creative, unpredictable. He got in his face and put his fist on his chin repeatedly in that fight. So, yeah, I mean, aside from him being almost 38, that's the only red flag I have. Everything else, including cardio, I like for D Silva. So I have a unit and a half on him at plus 135.
I love it, man. I'm glad we ended up on the same side of this one because I'm all over Douglas here. I think this is a great spot for him. Mm-hmm. Cody seems wishy-washy. Yes, he is very consistent, right? I mean, he's, he will perform more or less the same way each and every time out. But that inability to rise to the occasion, it almost leads him to a position where he will fight down to competition as well. I think de Andrade is just going to take the fight to him, man, and make him uncomfortable and force a mistake. I really do.
We also forgot about the most startling part here is that Cody Stamann just came in against Luan Lacerda in January in Brazil. I think it was a short notice bout for Lacerda. Cody Stamann's a minus 500 favorite or so, minus 400, minus 500 on closing. Luan Lacerda is a debuting fighter from Brazil, submission specialist. So Cody Stamann did the smart thing. He didn't wrestle. He didn't risk it in the dangerous guard of this guy.
Right. And
he had a competitive striking match that he almost lost against a grapple-only guy. He dropped round 3 and almost dropped one of those other rounds. So, I mean, that was the last nail in the coffin. I had to remind myself that he won unanimously, but that was a close fight, and it should not have been.
Right. Yeah, the line would indicate that it was going to be a wash, and it was not. So, I'm on Silva de Andrade here. All right, man. If that wasn't the people's main event, the next one certainly is. Carl Williams taking on Chase Sherman. The Vanilla Gorilla 16-11, taking on Carl Williams at 8-1. I don't know anybody on Chase Sherman here. Plus 325 for him. Carl Williams minus 425. Odin runs 2.5. I don't know anybody on Chase Sherman here, and I don't know how you could be if you're entertaining it, because Chase Sherman thinks that he can win fights just by having, like somebody said earlier, I'm going to get you to break your hand on my face. I mean, that's his way of inflicting punishment. It's just, I'm going to walk forward, act frustrated, move my head side to side without actually moving my head side to side. And he just gets that forehead just fucking pummeled every single fight, and just gets frustrated and can't find second gear. Tries inside leg kicks, right hands, and they're always sloppy. It never really lands. I think, the only concern coming back from the Carl Williams side is him using too much energy in the event that he gets Chase Sherman hurt. If he shoots for a takedown, goes for a big slam, and is going for sort of wild punches, kind of like we saw in the Junior Taffa fight a couple weeks back, where like you get them in these weird scrambles, and then you're just throwing so hard trying to get them out of there that the body just starts to fail you. That's really kind of the only way Carl Williams loses this fight. Chase Sherman has shown himself to be durable. If I were Carl Williams, this is me, I would attack the body. I think Chase Sherman's vulnerable to the body. I think takedowns, I think body work, I think, making him question why he's in there without trying to separate him from consciousness is the way to get him out of there. But I see everybody on Carl Williams. I won't play Chase Sherman at plus 325. I'd go under 2.5 here.
Yeah, I mean, what is under 2.5? Do you have it up?
I'll pull it up right now.
Jake, pull up the under 2.5.
You like having a producer Jake in the background. No, I'll look it up. We're good here.
The issue is, as you're doing that, is I think the only reason why like Chase Sherman could even be an option is because Carl Williams is
minus
a little bit undersized for heavyweight, and he doesn't have a finishing potential in this fight, which means that you're going to be in an extended heavyweight fight, a little undersized, and that's just more time. You're going to have that heavyweight volatility still lingering in the air, and I'd be nervous the whole time having money on Carl Williams, which I do have money on Carl Williams. I've got him parlayed with the main event with Jilton, so juicy boy parlay. I've got that going for me. Same with Natan Levy and Alberg. Just getting my D-gen on for this card as far as that goes. But I think Carl Williams should just take him down. Chase Sherman loses every fight he gets taken down.
Right.
He wins when he doesn't get taken down. And then sometimes when he doesn't get taken down, he still loses. So
Chase Sherman's just not good, if we're being honest with it. It was just
no, but I want there to be. And actually, my guy Wiz, Wiz, the man formerly known as Wiz Bets, he's Wiz Does now.
He's now Wiz Does,
doing a lot of interviews. He had Braxton Smith on yesterday.
Yeah, I saw.
And Braxton Smith wants Chase Sherman part 2. He wants the long-awaited rematch that we've all been clamoring for.
Yeah,
he wants Braxton Smith Sherman 2. And that's going to headline a fight night card, I'm sure, by the time it's like 2024.
I would have no doubt.
They're going to increase the price of ESPN Plus by $10 a month, and then they're going to make that be the first fight night main event.
You know what's crazy is it'll be the first fight night main event because they're going to book something ludicrous. We'll get like I'm trying to think of something really sloppy. We'll get like Kennedy and Jekwe versus Paul Craig, and Paul Craig will get
part
hurt.
2? Part 2?
No, Kennedy didn't fight Paul Craig.
Didn't he? Oh, wait. No, I'm thinking of somebody else.
You're thinking Jamal Hill.
No. Am I getting my tall, lanky black guys mixed up at the light heavyweight division?
Dude, if Kennedy and Jekwe fought Paul
no,
Craig,
I'm getting my timelines mixed up.
Okay. All right. That's all right. Anyway, it'll be something like that, and then it'll fall out like the week of, and then the co-main will be like something ludicrous. It'll be, Michelle Watterson and
it's already ridiculous.
Antonina Shevchenko, and then Antonina Shevchenko is going to get sick during the broadcast, and then we'll get
Jamie Lynn Horth. She was in the crowd.
Yeah,
she was in the crowd.
We'll get Braxton Smith versus Chase Sherman. That's how this happens.
Good Lord.
That's how, and that's just if neither one of them get cut between now and then, which is highly likely. All right. Speaking of guys that are going to get cut, Matt Brown, 23-19, taking on Court McGee at 21-11. Matt Brown, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, has been for the last decade now. Court McGee never finished, but then he goes in there and he fights Jeremiah Wells, and he takes a big time nap, but then he bounces back. He's a minus 235 favorite here against Matt the Immortal Brown. Does mortality reach out and put its icy cold fingers on Matt Brown's shoulder this weekend and tell him it is no more?
I'm not sure about this one, man. Like it's just the path of least resistance, of course, is Court McGee taking this fight to the mat, grinding out a wrestling performance, and I think he still has a few more of those performances in his tank. Whereas Matt Brown would need this to be on the feet, against the cage, dirty boxing, vicious elbows he's known for, striking at range, and Court McGee not doing anything in terms of wrestling. But I don't trust either man's. I don't trust Matt Brown's durability. I don't trust his cardio.
Yeah.
And I don't trust his wrestling defense. But I mean, where the money line is at is the problem. Because I would probably trust Court McGee and play him at minus 160.
Yeah,
it's at minus 230. Like, this is wild. And then I would like to play McGee by decision, or fight goes to decision, which is not that bad of chalk. But then I got to rely on both these guys staying conscious, even though they're towards the end of their career, which I don't want to do that either. So it's just a pass. It's just a pass betting wise. I lean Court McGee by decision as the prediction here. But if this stays standing, Matt Brown certainly has a value at plus 195.
I'll be looking at McGee round 3 or decision. Is kind of once that avails itself to me, I'll be leaning there.
I think Nickel said it best in the comments. I think Brown wins round 1, McGee wins round 2, 3 decision. Yeah, that's exactly correct. But I think Brown could win this early round 2. Did he do that against Diego Lima a couple of years ago? Didn't he get an early round 2 knockout or something like that?
Yep.
Maybe I'm wrong on that, but
no, I mean it was a Lima fight.
I can't remember when it happened.
Yeah, I mean, McGee by decision is even money. Yeah. So, I mean, I like that.
That's where I would go with it. But then I got to worry about these guys staying conscious, So,
yeah.
Where's this fight at? Is that Charlotte again? Yeah, it's okay.
Well, I think,
right? Where's McGee from? Is he from somewhere?
I thought he was a West Coast guy. Isn't he like a Portland guy or something like that? Iowa. No, not Iowa.
Brown's an Ohio boy.
Ohio guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Trained at Westside Barbell. Trained at Strong Style.
Well, the issue with Matt Brown has always been the cardio and the body. He cannot. The way to hurt Matt Brown is to punch him in his belly. He doesn't like that at all.
He's super finish dependent, which you never thought about when he's fighting, like in the middle of his career, but now towards the end, looking back at his body of work, it's very finish dependent. He's 2-6 in decisions. Right.
I would lean Court McGee round 3 or decision, or that round 3 decision, like double action. That's kind of where I would lean. At this point, like you said, in their career, I don't want to lean on the consciousness aspect of it. I think Court McGee getting knocked out by Jeremiah Wells. I mean, he'd never been finished prior to that. I'm not worried about Court
except
McGee.
For Ponzi, just Ponzi.
Right. I'm not worried about Court McGee's chin. That doesn't worry me. Matt Brown worries me. I don't like the idea of playing Court McGee by decision and having Matt Brown be dog ass tired at the 8-minute mark, and he just war of attrition, death by 1,000 cuts, and then he's out. So I'd be looking at Court McGee round 3 or decision, and that's about it. I really don't. I'm not super invested in having action on this, so I don't need to have it.
I like both of these guys, though, man. They're both from a pretty fun era of The Ultimate Fighter back when I used to watch it regularly. Court McGee, Matt Brown, both of these guys have had, weren't they both on methamphetamine at some point and died?
Yeah, they're
so that's pretty cool. That's pretty. Yeah, this is like they're gonna play this in all of the Narcotics Anonymous meetings. They're gonna have this fight playing, and they're gonna be like, "This is what you could be if you just get over your vices."
Do you think it's the? I mean, Matt Brown again has been in and out for a while. This has to be the farewell, right? Their featured prelim spot. It's almost like they're telling them, "I'm going to showcase you guys. You need to go ahead and throw the gloves down."
Yeah, welterweight's weird, right? Like, they could definitely save. It depends if Matt Brown wants to fight. Like, he could be saved to have some fun matchups and be fed to a better prospect than Court McGee, right?
Is there
they could still? I feel like they could branch this fight off and feed both these guys to future contenders stepping up off the contender series.
But I'm saying, is there a single fight in welterweight right now that you would you would cap Matt Brown as a favorite over? Is there a single fighter at welterweight you would cap Matt Brown as a favorite over?
I have to think about how deep that division is. There's probably some Contender Series kid that they signed last season that, I probably want at least even money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
There might be like some gas bag. Is there any? Welterweight's a weird division. There's not a whole lot of them, is there?
There really isn't. It's one of the more shallow. Okay, all right. As is customary, you're not required, and nor do we hold your feet to the fire on this. But like to recap from top to bottom, just money line leans. This isn't necessarily an indication of any bet being placed, but just rather a money line lean.
So you're not asking my picks. You're asking which way I lean. The value side. You want the value side.
Yeah. If people want to know your actual plays, they need to go over to your channel, Addicted to Combat. They need to click the subscribe button, and they need to watch any of the 38 pieces of content you put out every week, all which are very high quality, none of which have sleeves on them, and all of them are entertaining. Right?
Thank you. What are you doing on Saturday? It's a daytime card. Do we know why that is, by the way? Why is this a daytime card? Is it for any of the Irish that want to see Ian Gary fight? Is that why they're putting this in the daytime?
I think it's
Is there something better? Is there some ABC movie of the week that takes the nighttime time slot?
It's ABC, and it might be NBA games, maybe. I don't know. Because NBA playoffs are going on right now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It might be. Sorry, I didn't mean to smack the mic. Sorry, headphones users. But no, if
I'm probably going to be doing a fight companion with some of the normal crew, so you're always welcome to bounce in.
Okay. Yeah, shoot me the link, and I might be able to hop into that. We'll see.
I think it's at 10. I think early prelims start at 11:30 your time in the morning.
Yeah, no. Can I give me for next week, because I'll have the kids this week, so I'm not. There's no way.
All right, I got you. I mean, they can hop on too.
I'm going to keep my kids off the internet as long as I possibly can. All right, just money line leans. Okay, Jessica Rose Clark, Tanera
Lisboa.
Agreed. Battle and Green. I'm on Battle. Bohm and Kim. I'm on Bohm. All right, Levy and Rodriguez.
Levy.
I'm on Levy. Silva de Andrade and Stamen.
Andrade.
Agreed. Sherman and Williams.
Money line lean here. To Sherman's the money line lean if I had to, because it's heavyweight.
Okay, I'm on Williams still. Matt Brown, Court McGee.
What about Ulberg and Pateria?
Oh, I have that listed as on the main card.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. McGee.
I'm on McGee as well. Morono and Means. And then here I've got Patera and Ulberg.
Yeah, Ulberg still. Ulberg is like even still at what 90% implied. It's still Ulberg.
Yeah, Ulberg. Daniel Rodriguez, Ian Gary.
Daniel Rodriguez.
I'm on Rodriguez as well. Smith and Walker.
He's the plus money side almost.
Walker as well, and Almeida Rosenstrike.
Almeida, even still, even at minus 1,000, this guy's gonna get. Like I said, man, it's gonna take like 10 seconds. He gets the first takedown.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on. This was a little bit longer of a show. You know, I
love it, man.
You keep it around an hour. I know you can, but I'm old, bro. I can't, man. I gotta take my ass to bed at a certain point. Look, tell people where they can find you at and what you got going on and all that kind of good stuff.
Hey, it was a pleasure meeting Drew Dober. Thanks for introducing me to the. I was the third wheel. It felt great. You know, I should do that more often. I was just sitting there watching you guys sip wine. It was awesome.
I'm sorry,
but my name is Patrick. For those of you who don't know me, haven't seen me and Dale shoot the breeze before, I run a channel called Addicted to Combat on YouTube. Go ahead and give me a subscribe over there. I do full card breakdowns, best bets. I have a guest every single week on my live stream on Wednesday nights. Tomorrow I'll be having Dan Levy from Half the Battle. First time on my show as well, so it'll be fun to chop it up with somebody new. And like I said, this Saturday we'll be doing the live stream, Fight Companion. So I'll be streaming the entire time. The fights are going on Saturday morning. It should be fun. I'll have guys like Johnny K. Picks, Cody from Blood Money MMA Bets, even my guy Effie from the Any Action Sportscast in the comments. He's always welcome as well. He knows that. So yeah, and on Twitter at Combat Addict 1. Good luck in all of your betting action this weekend, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Austin's great, man. Thank you, Austin.
I co-sign all the stuff Patrick, says and does, man. There's not a lot of people out there that I continually give my time and attention to, just because there's a million things out there vying for your attention, right? There really is. So it's hard to like dedicate.
And you're a hard ass, so I really respect it when it comes from you. When there any kind words comes from you, you're
what are you talking about, dude?
I feel like you're very critical of you keep it real. You keep it real. So I know that when you say something, it means it has some weight to it.
Wow, I appreciate that. No, listen, I've told you this before, and I'll tell it to you again. I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate the time that you give me, the shared audience that you give, and I appreciate that you come prepared and willing to rock and roll. I will extend a small apology. It's been a long time since I've had two people and a guest, so if I dominated the Drew thing a little bit, that's my bad. I'm a little out of practice in that regard.
The whole point is to let him talk, so it was cool. He's a great interview guest because he just takes whatever you say and runs with it five times.
Yeah, he's good people. So yeah, guys, go subscribe to Patrick's stuff. You can feel free to do the same here. You can like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Boston Bruce Brett says block 819. The collab needs to happen. Got you, buddy. I got you. We'll talk about UFC 292. We need to get something in the Midwest going because I can get Spirit flights out to, I think, Chicago for like $100 or something like that, man. So we can get out towards your way if they get a Milwaukee card or a Chicago card or something like that.
A while. We're going to Bellator 290. What was it? 292? No, not 292. That happened already. 290 something. Okay. Whatever the one middle of June is with Romero fighting for the belt. So I'm going to that with. Have you seen Victor De Jesus in the comments section? Yeah, yep. He's coming. He's sitting with me, Cody, and Johnny, and all of our female companions are coming with us too. So it should be a fun affair.
Oh, that'll be a good time, man. That'll be a good time. Yeah, next time we can get something out that way, we'll do it. And if not, there is one thing that I noticed that I would like to, based off what I saw in 288 this weekend, I would like to at a certain point, if we can, get some of us that are a little bit more on the level, like. Maturity and money wise, try to get something out like in Vegas together where we all meet up and
it'll be fun
and kind of do it up. Met a lot of cool people this weekend, which was really great. So
who'd you meet for that I would know?
Austin in the chat here, he was there this weekend.
Oh, cool.
And then just some other people from Twitter that I follow, or that follow me on Twitter and stuff like that. And it was cool. We just got to meet a couple people. I wanted to get up with Hammer Bets and the guys over at Chronic and Propaholic. But the crazy dude, full disclosure, I have bootleg cell phone service because I'm super cheap. And inside like the dome of the arena, I did not have service. So I had to walk out to the concessions to get my text messages to go through and to get on Twitter. And I don't have their message, like their phone numbers. So I just really didn't give
that. Happens in arenas a lot to me too.
I didn't have enough.
I think all their equipment and Bluetooth nonsense always knocks out the signal.
Yeah, I just didn't, honestly, at a certain point, I just didn't care enough anymore because I had enough to drink, and I was just like,
and Drew's about to fight soon.
Yeah, and I'm just enjoying the fights. I'm not going to be like, hey, let's in between fights, let's go meet by the, the Nissan Altima that they've got on display down by the thing. I mean, I didn't go there with those guys, so I didn't like feel the need to push that issue. But there were some people that knew I was going to be there because I've been pushing it on the show, and I got to shake some hands and meet some people that
It's still it's growing, and I love that the sport's growing. It still feels super small when you meet people like that. It's like we all have this weird interest where we like to just watch people beat each other up, and we all like martial arts. And it's a lot of us that are in the YouTube community, especially betting wise. We're all diehard fans that follow every single piece of information that comes out. We're talking about Mandy Bowman, Ji Yeon Kim, for God's sake.
Right.
We're into the sport, so it's fun to meet those people that are on that level.
Absolutely. All right, guys. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, share, all that kind of good stuff. All the shit I already said, and then we'll see everybody for fights on Saturday. You can watch Fight Companion over on Patrick's channel, Addicted to Combat on YouTube. You can watch fights along with him and a couple other great cappers as well on Saturday. If not, I will see everybody either on Twitter on Saturday or next Tuesday. We'll be live. May or may not have Haley Cowan on next Tuesday. And then I think Johnny's next weekend or the weekend after, so we'll have Johnny K picks on as well. So
nice, fun.
we got a couple guests lined up for the upcoming week, so it'll be a good time. All right, be good to each other. God bless. We'll see you guys later on.
Cheers.